And we're back.
망을 참음 숨을 거두리라.
That's some amazing artwork. 10 out of 10.
집단적으로 발생한 뒤틀림은 공통된 분명 매뉴얼에서 본 내용이었는데 공통된 까먹었다.
Ishmael being less educated. That's interesting.
바람에 닳고 비에 씻겨도 검결은 흐려지지 않았으니 본위대로 맡은 바를 다할 뿐. LCD 부서 현장 추리팀 소속 이스마엘, 의뢰하신 바에 따라 뒤틀림 포획 시작하겠습니다.
The other team in the LCD, the Phenomena Deciphering team, gave me a set of prosthetic arms today. This Dokibi arm, that's what they called them, I believe, feels just like my real arms, like I was born with them. It must have cost them a fortune to get me something this fine. I suppose this is one more I am in their debt, which I intend to pay them back in gratitude. They've been telling me things to make me feel better. This is the bare minimum you'll need to work on the on-site investigation team, or, hey, distortions are not gonna go easy on you just cause you're missing an arm. I know they mean well, they're just trying to make sure I don't feel like I owe them anything. But if I'm being honest, I still feel like I haven't done nearly enough to repay their kindness. Mentor, for all the years I devoted myself to the blade lineage, I lived prepared to let a blade bite into my flesh if it meant seizing an opening to cleave through the bones of my enemy. Because that is how a Salsu must carry myself, as the saying goes. When tremors ran through my sword hand, I would not steal them before raising the blade. When my arms grew heavy as lead from exhaustion, I would swing through that weight. I knew no other way how to make use of myself. That was who I was. And now, somehow, that same person now spends her days drowning in paperwork. I am doing all I can to learn more about everything that happened, about the accursed artifact they call monolith, and that wretched form you had been reduced to, what they call a distortion phenomenon. My whole life, I've never had so much as a passing interest in anything that wasn't the blade, so taking in all this knowledge to learn about things beyond the steel feels quite unfamiliar to me. It's not so easy to learn new things when you don't even understand half the words you're reading in a paper, or what strange contraption the jargon is referring to for that matter. The same document that other people seem to understand after just a quick skim, I've had to reread all over and over before its content finally sank in. Then there were times I had to ask for the same explanation twice, 3 times even, while others had already understood the material and moved on. But I don't think I hate this feeling. Learning something new every day, feeling my eyes slowly opening to a world I never knew, is more exciting than I thought. I only wish I had learned sooner that there are ways to view the world through a wider lens, not just through what was reflected on my narrow blade. How does one's heart fall apart? How does that fractured heart surface and take physical form? And once we've learned that, how do we prevent it from happening? Or, if it has already happened, how do we bring the subjects back from that? What records do we want to keep? What are the signs and things we must watch out for? These are all things I never would have learned if I had ever unclasped my hand from the handle of my blade. Maybe that's why I feel like I can't relate to the maxim as how a Salsu must carry herself as much as I used to. Of course, I don't mean to say I've grown ashamed of it, because I'm still fond of wielding my blade, and will not hesitate to cut down what must be cut down. It's just that I am learning, little by little, that not every answer has to begin with unsheathing my sword. And I've learned to face what remains when a blade has been wielded. And another thing. As you must be well aware yourself, most fellows here at the LCD are kind folk. I suppose I should admit their kindness made me uncomfortable at first. I'd never been shown goodwill that asked for nothing in return, so every thoughtful word and gesture of kindness felt like one more debt settling on my shoulder. But with time, I came to understand something. That there are people who will gladly give me the time of day, offer their seats without making anything of it, and explain things I don't understand without irritation. People who tell me to rest when I look exhausted. The nights I'd fallen asleep in the elements, with the starry night sky as my roof and dirt beneath me as my bedding, are starting to fade beyond the veil of memory. The days when I'd crawl under a stranger's eaves when it rained, the days when we'd be mired in an endless strife against the black clouds, they seem so distant now. For months now, I've been waking up in a cushy bed that sinks slowly when I lie on it. I haven't gone a single day these past few months uncertain of where my next meal would come from, or if I even have enough water to wash the day's crimes off. If I have any worries these days, they are concerns I would have once called a luxury back in the day, now frivolous questions like what drink do I want to get today as I make my way to the office. I still can't decide if this is the kind of lifestyle that suits me. But if the team can tolerate my presence here for a bit longer, I intend to remain until I can find my own direction in life. The day might come when I decide this path isn't for me and choose to leave. But by then, I hope I'll have become someone who has learned to grasp a better sense of the road ahead. But I don't suppose you'll be changing anytime soon, mentor. You'll still wander off on your own without telling anyone, or retreat to your room and shut yourself away for days. Yes, I know well enough that the path to recovery is an arduous one. Wounds of the heart are unlike wounds of the flesh, after all. You can't simply stitch them shut, salve them with ointment, and expect everything to be alright. But at the very least, I'd like you to remember this. The blade lineage is no more, but you and I, mentor, we survive. And the living have their own responsibilities they must see to. Whichever journey you embark on, whether you choose to take up the blade again, abandon it forever, fulfill your responsibilities to the blade lineage, or return to Escorp. Never lose sight of what you must do. No, never lose sight of where your heart really wishes to go. Junior, you still writing? It's for that head guy, right? Well, it is, but I guess I just had a lot on my mind that I wanted to tell you. So, how are you feeling about today? Got the butterflies? No anxiety attacks? It's our first real mission with those spanking new arms. A bit anxious, yeah, but I'm not afraid. I couldn't feel any better. Gotcha, Junior. I'll trust you to have my back then. Team leaders already pinpointed the inflection point. All you gotta do is cut right through that part. Understood. Then, Limbus Company OSIR team. Distortion Specialist, Schmeier. Commencing mission. I was not expecting a hopeful, bright story in the city. Usually, there's always some form of what's the term? Sadness behind every term. Oh yeah. Time to begin the new intervallo. Nice. Consultation section. Haven't had those in a while. No, wait. For this one, we should go about it like... No. Heathcliff's been in a vanguard for too long. I should pull him back and let him... Dante? Huh? Oh, sorry. Did you say something? I provided you an answer to your question, but you exhibited no observable response. Is the sinner's combat performance deteriorating beyond manageable parameters? No, things aren't that bad, but it's just hard to focus on one conversation when I'm trying to support battles happening in completely different places at once. Oh, he's practicing his new skill. On top of that, Rhodia's shopping chatters starting to get a little distracting. A few days after we entered Encorp's district, the bus pulled over in the back streets of Encorp to take care of a distortion case. This contract was supposed to be handled jointly with the LCD team, but distortion suddenly started cropping up all over an area of the back streets called Butter Street. without any coherent pattern, no obvious point of origin or route of spread. Nothing convenient like that, and I had no choice but to split the sinners into several groups and send them out. Otis, Ishmael, Sinclair, Don Quixote, Yisang, and Miss Salt were on their way to rendezvous with the LCD team. Heathcliff, Gregor, and Hong Lu were suppressing distortions that had showed up from other directions. They sent 5 to rendezvous and 3 to fight? Okay. And with our onboard stock script down to the bottom, Rhodia and Ryoshu, who were done with their share of the suppression work, were put in charge of buying supplies for the bus. That's nice. I think she's gonna buy the dragon gummy. And as for Faust, she decided to stay behind with me on the bus. I wanted to get through the consultation sessions I'd been putting off, and thought I might as well get myself some much needed practice with handling the new golden bow power I'd acquired. To reiterate, there are no issues requiring special concern regarding Faust. It is true that Faust has, on several recent occasions, expressed dissatisfaction with a certain Faust. However, those instances should be classified as a mere personal grievance. I mean, that's good if that's all there is to it, but this was not the first time Faust had seemed unlike herself. There had been times before when she had spent far longer alone than usual, lost in thought, moments when she could not produce immediate answers to questions from the other sinners or me. Could it be you can access the Gesellschaft? May I ask your basis for the inference? Cause you're acting a lot like you did back on the walk train. It appears there remain occasions on which you are still capable of surprising Faust, Dante. If I was right, you really are cut off from the Gesellschaft? That was not intended as a confirmation of your conjecture. Maybe she's saying that while she can technically access the Gesellschaft, it may as well be that she can. I wish I could ask more and get to the bottom of it, but the way she was sidestepping the subject told me that prying wouldn't give me any further insight. Right, I won't press you if you don't want to talk about it. Your reserve is appreciated. Shall we move on? Yes, your consultation is the next agenda. After cross-referencing the records pertaining to the recent events in the House of Spiders, it would appear that memories concerning the individuals designated as Sora and Ren currently remain only with you, Dante. As such, should the influence of Ryoshu and her sword lead to further omissions in the official records, the manager will be responsible for supplementing the necessary information. Yeah, not the first time I was the only one left with the intact memories, huh? That's right, despite Kikop's memory wipe procedure, Catherine's erasure by the Golden Bow's power, and Arayashiki severing people from existence, I was the only one who remembered what had transpired. But ironically enough, the memories I had prior to swapping my head with this clock still showed no sign of returning. Why won't my old memories come back though? Is it because of this clock head? Speculation based on your experience with the Basti thus far will not meaningfully contribute to the recovery of your former memories, manager. Inductive reasoning conducted from memories with gaps, after all, is bound to have structural limitations. Bongi would serve as an adequate analogy. Bongi? Yes, Bongi. Receiving feed and increasing in body mass alone would provide it with no meaningful basis for identifying the purpose of its rearing. Even at the terminal stage, when exposed to kitchen instruments and the heat of the stove, its limited experience would prove inadequate to constitute an understanding of its ultimate fate and purpose. Likewise, the ultimate answer to your doubts can only be obtained from the whole of the experience that you will have accumulated at the terminus of your entire journey, that is, your allotted mission. I feel like there should be, there is a deeper meaning in that Bongi dialogue, but I don't want to get into that. Because treasure awaits at the end of the road, at the end of hell. And that treasure will give me back my memories and my head. Also, was it ever confirmed that would happen at the end of the road? Indeed, at the end of the road, you will be able to engrave your aspect. I still have no idea exactly what aspect means, or even whether it's an object, but if I know one thing, it's that the me from before all this began had wanted it badly, obsessively, desperately. It's more like an instinctive knowledge, but if my memory is gone, that feeling, however strong it is, does not change the fact that it's just another word with no discernible mental image. However strong. So now it's just another word, because when he first heard it, back in Selva Oscura, he just basically. It makes him instinctively like join the group, right? So, but now it's nothing. He's now just fulfilling a mission from his whole self. So, which gives me precedence to believe that in the future there will be a conflict between old Dante and new Dante. And you're not gonna tell me what it actually is, are you? The aspect, what it means, or why I wanted it so much. If it remains a piece of information that must be disclosed to you, then no, I'm unable to tell you. Right? If it remains a piece that must be disclosed. So unless it has some link to the mission, then she would say, hey, no mind. You are still following your star acceptably. Please concentrate on the journey. More importantly, have you grown accustomed to that incomplete power? Current observations suggest you have yet to arrive at that level. Well, I've gotten pretty used to focusing on one place at a time, but keeping track of several places at once is still a bit rough. Otis's team is doing well in combat even without my direct supervision, and Rhodia's team is not engaged in battle at the moment. Taking my mind off them would prove much easier. But that wouldn't give me the much needed practice, so I'm doing my best to keep an eye on every sinner's status. Sufficient familiarity should result in substantial tactical value. You would be able to cast a wider net when information gathering and employ previously unavailable tactical patterns. Right, and I'll also be able to tell when it's a bad time to call someone in too. Even as I continue talking with Faust, I make sure not to stop observing the places where each group is and what they're doing. Yup, pulling Heathcliff to the rear was the right call. I don't see any injuries. His team's still doing pretty well even without my direction. As for Rhodia, wait, did she just stuff all of the pastries and bread she bought into her pockets? How did she manage that with a huge baguette? Notice his group. Let's see. Looks like they joined up with the LCD team without any issue. LCD, that guy over there must be. Hang on. House. There's a dude I've seen before, but he seems a bit different from what I remember. Could you specify the issue? I'm monitoring the situation right now. We should probably join up with them too. Let's end the consultation here. This is rather precipitous, Dante. If the incident is of a serious nature, perhaps a request for support from the LCC. No, it's not an incident. Though I wouldn't say it's not serious. Is it something to do with Bamboo-Hatted King? I assume he has already recovered at this point. Rendezvous. This is going from bad to worse, really. Dante seems to be tied up helping the other groups. Utis's command calls have been working out well enough. I'll give her that. We've managed to hold the line better than expected, but we're definitely starting to feel the strain. Why are you waving your hand all over arm and hand signals? What signals? What's swinging the arm sideways even supposed to mean? You don't know? It's scattered, damn it, so scattered. That was close, we almost got flattened. Damn it, even rookies with nothing but the most rudimentary of military training would have recognized a hand signal that basic. Well, we're not all trained soldiers here, are we? Verily, the flourish of a single hand doth indeed make boast of chivalric elegance, yet when thou suddenly wavest thine arm about, clenching the unclenching with thy hand in that mystical fashion, only to suddenly turn tail, forsooth I am left bereft of understanding what thou meanest to say. I think that of all the personnel in the team, only the swabby has the discipline to interpret a basic field signal. I only picked it up during my sailing days. Realistically speaking, did you really expect ordinary people like the others to understand professional military signals? This is unacceptable. After all the operations all of you have been deployed under my lead, you're all still ignorant when it comes to non-verbal signals. Hey, I don't think even Dante would know those signals. Yep, might as well be splitting hairs, literally. Let us appease our agitated hearts and follow Miss Otis' instruction. We should disperse and withdraw. Megaton landing! I think we all just died. Hey, pretty cool, huh? Let's face it, I know how to make one heck of an entrance. But whoa, aren't you supposed to be cleaning up the distortions upstairs? Oh, finito a million years ago. You guys were taking forever, so I figured I'd take a peek and lend a hand. You're welcome. Ripped by a thundering descent in the floor's form and shape are now crushed beyond mending, sunken deep enough to be likened to the incipience of a wellspring. Well, don't you worry your head about it. That's all after teams to take care of. Anyway, that should be all of them, right? The force of your landing neutralized the last of the distortions outside of the building. Great! Can you check on the distorted peeps' faces and clothes? Their faces are all segmented. Makes my screen crawl. Not a pleasant sight. As for their attire, this one appears to be a sweeper, and that one yonder bears the attire of an ordinary fixer. And this distortion I landed on, probably a local resident, judging by the clothes. Did any of you happen to see anything nearby bursting with a big pop and flash? Nay, not once. Okie dokie. You know what? Let's all head upstairs. This suppression request is kind of a pain. We'll need to put together a nice leak plan before we start poking it too hard. A plan, sayest thou? How? How? Was this not a mere matter of slaying distortions where they stand? Huh? Hey, did nobody brief you? This has often been the structure of our assignments. We are given instructions, we perform them, and only afterward do we begin to perceive the nature and contour of the task to which we have committed our hand. Really? Well, I guess every department has its own way of doing things. No big deal. I'll explain everything once you're upstairs. Oh, by the way, you didn't get to meet the whole team last time, did you? Only our new girl. This time, that dude, I mean, Mr. Bamboo-Headed Kim's also here, so... Huh? He's okay now? Sure he is. You'll be surprised once you see just how okay he is now. But last time you said he was still under treatment. To be precise, I believe Miss Engdu stated that his mind is yet to regain its former tranquility. Aha, that? You'll get it once you see him. I feel like we'll just end up having the same conversation twice if I say anything about it now. Oh, oh no. The aura farm. Ah, you have arrived. It's blinding. It's so bright. The midday sun is pouring in like crazy. Yet the warm tickle of the sunbeam is rather agreeable. No, this is not sunlight. Well, you would know that, don't you, Muscle? Because unlike this, there is more to the sunshine than its warmth. The fuck? The implications. Now, what exactly is this light? Why is this thing on again? It's bright enough to fry my eyeballs. Apologies, Lady Ezra. I am yet to be accustomed to this machine. This is my first time laying a hand upon the complicated workings of such a contraption. It activated of its own accord, and I have yet to discover the method by which it may be silenced. That's why I told you to leave it alone. Fiddling with things you don't understand usually ends with something, or you, broken. Nothing good comes of it, I tell you. But, Ento, Lady Moses had instructed me that in every moment and event, clues are hidden under the veil of one's surrounding and must be examined with care. Yes, and that only works if you're savvy about the net. Hang on, did you just say mentor? I had not yet been afforded the proper opportunity to introduce him to you. This here is the esteemed leader of the Blade lineage, who is all but a master under whom I have apprenticed. Do you really have to dress it up like that? I told you I only took on the role because there wasn't anyone else around to take the job. Switch, where's the switch? Aha, gotcha. Shit. I assume this is him. This is just a freaking costume. Oh my god, she got a new fit. Oh man, it's so cute. Love it. He looks like a freaking like a salary man retired from his office shift or some shit. Yeah. Goodness. Known as Bamboo-Headed Kim. Ah, yes, that's me. Guess I should say pleased to meet you. Oh. So cool. It's so sad. Sad. Search for the inflection point. I love this. Okay, so distortion site, condemned building. More often than not, first impressions are prone to change. The Bamboo-Headed Kim I remember was a man who drowned in his own fathoms. blaming himself for his powerlessness with a listless, heavy voice. That, however, had been while he was distorted and sunken into himself, so I figured his original personality might be somewhat different. But this is not just somewhat. His personality isn't even in the same ballpark as my expectation. You're telling me this guy here is a bamboo-handed Kim? Yep, we double-checked with Ezra and she said he really is the same guy. Whoa, that fire on your head's not hot at all. Fascinating stuff. Holy shit. I'm pretty sure most of us believe that he's like a very old guy who's like, you know, studying the blade. Everything must be part of the blade type shit. But he's a relatively young looking man. It seems pretty free and easy. Like I guess a prodigy with a sword, I suppose. Whoa, that fire on the head's not hot at all. Fascinating stuff. Can we check again, just in case? I really can't wrap my head around the fact that this is the sullen, serious man whom we fought. Just look at what he's doing. He's rubbing my face all over like he's checking out some kind of a mental piece ornament. Lots of ticking and talking going on. They're supposed to sound like them talking to you folks, huh? Further confirmation would be redundant, Dante. This individual is conclusively identical to the one designated as Bamboo-Hatted Kim. I've got no idea what you folks are so suspicious about. Engdu, just what exactly have you been telling people out there about me? They're all staring like they've seen a ghost. I told them you are a gallant and formidable warrior, mentor. But they don't look like they've heard the most flattering things about me. Yeah, don't you hear it? The faint undercurrent of disappointment, the ticking. Ooh, he can somewhat understand. I also told them that you are a man of few words, but with much affection for the followers under your command. Engdu. Yes, mentor? It's a complete and utter lie. Man of few words is definitely not something you can say about a guy who's as talkative as me, don't you think? Yet I spoke no falsehood. Although your conduct is rather shallow and perhaps less refined for a leader of an organization, you are much more reserved and taciturn when conversing with those unfamiliar to you, are you not? No matter who one may be, one is bound to inspire either approval or disapproval from those around him, so I refrain from mentioning any truths that might invite the latter. To even hint at anything that might tarnish the reputation of my master would not be an unlike spitting of his name, and mine by extension. I simply had no reason to put on airs in front of my own folks. In any case, so you can't see anything if I block this button. Do tell, how many fingers am I holding up? Those are not my eyes, you know. Your own folks, huh? Then you have already acknowledged and accepted that you are now belong to the Limbus company. Why did Tao not pay a visit to the LCE? Verily, when one's mind is plagued by the absence of tranquility, venturing forth into the open air and touchable field of grass, clear of the storm of the heart, an asset of the company is expected to act in the company's interest. Yet, for whatever reason, I didn't see you fighting on the field of battle during Operation Spider Pipe. You will have to account for your absence in the mission. Otis addressed Kim as though she were conducting a formal investigation, every word black and hard. It was obvious she was not about to let her guard down anytime soon. What mission? Oh, that one. Kim finally seemed inclined to assume a more serious disposition. He stopped peering into my face and turned toward Otis. Although his hand was still on my head. What? Alright, clearly, there's some disconnect in expectations here. Listen here, you. I'm really not all of that. I'm really not all that about hard, bothersome work. Get what I mean? The real disconnect was between his stoic expression and the words coming out of his mouth. Maybe it's because I recently watched JJK Season 3 again. I feel like his character is kinda like Control-C, Control-V type shit. What? So let's talk about the kind of fellow I am. Meet the resident layabout, who's forced to do his job, with a frown too, I might add, only when he's got absolutely no other choice. I'm really not some big shot Engdu's apparently been promoting me as, folks. And I'd very much like to stop getting roped into stuff that keeps putting my life on the line. I wonder if he will give us more information of what he was doing in the library. Fine, then why did you join the LCD in the first place if you'd rather be unemployed? No, never mind, they probably forced you to stay. You catch on quick. First they spout this nonsense about distortions and all, and then Force hired me, calling me a company-owned resource, or whatever. And the other day, they were again on about, what's his name, Golden Bow? Yes, they invited me on a tour to another department to listen in on some important presentation. And I accepted. I thought it would be a fine opportunity to broaden my perspective. And dear, there are times when your commitment to duty shines brighter than the sun. I find that attitude so dazzling that I have to squint when I'm looking at you. Who knows? Maybe that's why I'm wearing this bamboo hat, to shade my eyes from your utter brilliance. Do you mean to say that you are in need of a shield to protect your eyes? Lady Ezra, might I submit a request for a pair of sunglasses for my mentor, only if it's not too much of an imposition on the budget, that is. That right there, that's what I keep telling you not to do. You can't just say yes to every silly thing he says and turn it into a supply request. Small expenses add up a lot, you know? You gotta save up everything you can in the piggy bank while you still can, or you'll end up broke. He's changing his face. Is there truly no room for reconsideration? No means no. Oh shit, Ezra is being the competent adult. Hey, then pray make the purchase for me, I shall cover the cost myself. Angus just being a little kid. No kid, wait, what? My poor mentor is in a state of great discomfort, yet I possess neither the wisdom nor the knowledge to navigate the silver tongue of merchants and the maze of stalls to locate the very best item. So I must beg this favor for you. You're giving me a freaking headache, girl. I'm aware that you and yours are no strangers to such dealings. There is no one else I can trust to complete such a procurement with the swiftness of the wind. You know what? Never mind what I said. I'll just get you what you want. You heard the gentle lady, mentor. Your suffering shall soon be alleviated. Right. My apologies for interrupting you amid conversation. Pray, continue. You had reached the part where they invited you to tour another department. No sooner Engdu's words left her lips than her eyes glinted with something I couldn't really put my finger on, but it was a strange intensity that sent a chill down my spine. Yeah, so that day I was just gonna relax here and watch some TV. Okay, so Engdu hold some reverence to bamboo-headed Kim. Okay. So it's like a quote-unquote competent person is becomes less professional in front of her idol, in a sense. That's a unique dynamic, I suppose. Well, good on you for showing up to work today, I guess. Let's say there's a debt to be repaid. At least you understand that we are indeed indebted to the company. Yeah, I suppose I do. Kim's gaze lingered on Engdu's prosthetic arms as he answered. Oh, Miss Engdu, your arms. Only after following Kim's gaze did Sinclair seem to notice Engdu's brand new prosthetic arms. The last time we saw her, Engdu had lost both her arms, and I remember Ezra asking her to sit tight and choose what type of prosthesis she wanted. Those arms are probably it. It's not just the arms, even her clothes are different now. That's all. I had these arms fitted on you as soon as the operation was concluded. The gracious host in one of the LCD's teams had prepared them in advance. With evident satisfaction, Engdu held up her dark metallic wrist as if to showcase them. The components fixed along her arm clicked and rattled, unfolding for a moment before neatly folding back into place. Oh, such graceful smoothness, wet to machine articulation. It's as though I am beholding the marvelous prosthesis of the illustrious Siegfried himself. Yup, the showcase would have gone lackluster without that trademark reaction. Those are strikingly similar to Schwarz Industries N7 lineup, but I thought that model was discontinued. I forgot he was part of a prosthesis company. Well, he wasn't technically part of it. Nah, not theirs. It's one of the prototypes developed by LCD's Phenomena Deciphering team, and they put them on her for trial. What the hell does a Phenomena Deciphering team have anything to do with prosthesis? It just gets more confusing. Doubt you'll find another like them. They're based on technology spun from distortions. Oh, I see. For a brief moment, Sinclair's eyes lit up as if he had glimpsed something that brought him back to a memory. Then just as quickly, he fell silent, whatever he wanted to say next catching in his chest. Does something trouble you, Master Sinclair? Nani? It wasn't hard to understand what struck the tender memory for Sinclair, why it cast a shadow over his face. But, sorry, this reminded me of something from a long time ago. My dad used to work prosthetics before he passed away. I thought this was the exact same model I saw back then. It appears I lacked tact. These arms have stirred a painful memory within you. For that, I apologize. Haha. Alright, I'm fine now. Sinclair's voice still carried a faint tremor, but beneath it, there was a firmness that had not been there before. It really had grown a great deal. You can thank yours truly for picking the sword. I was there with her. I did inform Lady Ezra that any blade that could serve as a weapon would suffice, but she insisted on browsing the goods. I dare say I was given the opportunity to lay my eyes on every type of sword I could ever hope to see in this life, walking through the workshop street that day. Oh please, girl, you walked for just 4 hours, that's nothing. I would have whistled if I could. While everyone was distracted, taking in Anglo's new outfit and equipment, Kim had quietly slipped away from the crowd and crouched down in the corner. Okay. He was rummaging through things scattered on the floor. Picking them up? Is he pocketing them? Anyway, what is this place supposed to be? What are all these things? It's basically a rack now, but there are strobes and that cloth backdrop over there. Maybe it used to be a photo studio? Oh, that could explain why there are so many photos stuck around the place. Probably. This thing definitely looks like a camera at least. Sinclair picked up a small cylindrical object and turned it over in his hands, studying it with curiosity. What do you suppose this is? A battery, maybe? Ah, there's some kind of strip inside. Let me just pull it out. No, that's... Otis shouted a sharp warning at Sinclair as if she had realized something. But Mersault's hand shot out before she could even finish, clasping over Sinclair's wrist before the strip could be pulled out. What did I do? Exposure to sunlight damages this object. I already pulled a little bit out though. It can be rewound. Carefully rotate the ridge section on the cylinder. I'm currently blocking the sunlight from reaching the exposed section. Damage is of no concern. Oh, okay, you mean this one, right? This is the part that rotates? Yep, you went back in. With a quiet nod, Mersault took the object from Sinclair's hand. It seems to be a film roll. There is something written on the outside. Experiment 4? It appears to be a compact roll for a film camera. You seem to have handled one before. Yes. Mersault's answer came without any further explanation, but the way he adjusted the camera on the table certainly didn't look like that of a first-timer. I once received a report containing photographs taken on film cameras during the war. Film rolls used by NCORP are particularly difficult to falsify. They were often used to collect intelligence during the secret operations. The film fixes light directly onto the medium, from what I've heard. A peculiar expression flashed across Ezra's face as she regarded Otis. Perhaps it was the mention of war that caught her attention. Anyway, we've managed to regroup in one piece. Let's come up with a plan to deal with these distortions, guys. Where should we begin? Then, in the next breath, she returned to her usual bubbly self and steered the conversation away from the subject. I do not know her background history. But I do know Otis and Moses are related somehow. So, both Ezra and I, we are both still trying to be free of the misconception we inflicted on ourselves. For all her unfailingly perky disposition, Ezra too may be carrying traumatic memories every bit as devastating as Craig. Does there yet remain odd deserving elimination? Huh? Yeah, wait. You're right. Haven't we cleaned up the distortion already? I couldn't feel any more traces of distortions nearby, and it didn't seem like any of the other Sinner teams elsewhere were actively engaged in battle at the moment either. Dante is asking whether distortion suppression has not in fact already been concluded. Oh, not yet. These people we fought just now, they only got caught up in the distortion. They didn't actually distort themselves. We haven't even gotten close to the distortion's inflection point yet. Inflection point? Anywho, finding an inflection point without the team leader around is gonna take some time. Maybe it won't be too bad with your help. Ezra swept her eyes around the room with a look of frustration, as though she had just been handed a puzzle box with half the pieces missing. By inflection point, I'm referring to the point on the graph in which the directionality of its curvature changes. According to mine, the present context in it, let's be a mathematical term and more specialized police in referring to the point at which the distortion occurs, the motive intent, or indeed the point in which inflection of the mining occurs. Yep, that's about right. That's the kind of inflection point I was talking about. In our department, we use that term to mean the source of a distortion, the inflector or cause behind it, stuff like that. You know, distortion's hard to treat if you don't know the core cause. Treat the symptoms you see on the surface all you like, but if you never find the root cause, the distortion's never getting solved. Though I guess you guys never really had to look for that kind of stuff, huh? Your boss clock opens a door into the Phantoms or whatever, right? You mean Dungeon of the Phantoms? Yep, that's the one. From where we're standing, distortions are really high maintenance, time-consuming headaches. It's one hour thing to somehow manage to locate the inflection point, but curing it is another thing. But you guys can just march straight into someone's heart, knock the snot out of everything in there, and then ta-da! Patient ready for discharge. That's how it works, right? Not gonna lie, I was so jealous when I heard about it. I almost bit my sleeve off. Verily, I had thought your team would set about resolving distortions once the foe was vanquished, as we are wont to do. Was that not so? Of course not. Why would anyone come to us with a distortion suppression request if it were that simple in the first place? But yeah, most of the time, peeps try brute force approaches to it first, and when things go south, they send requests to the company or to our detective's office. That Mr. Client this time must have been bingo. Apparently, the residents of Butter Street had all chipped in to commission all kinds of agencies like this Y and the combat specialized fixer officers. But none of them could actually do things right, and the job got passed on to us. So the money was well spent, I suppose. Meaning, the distortion phenomenon related to this kind of photograph is still occurring unchecked somewhere on the streets. Exactly, that's why. We gotta find something, anything that might count as a clue. Ezra gazed down at the people lying on the floor with a complicated expression. Neat ash grey suits and the logo on the collar of their uniform and briefcases. Hey, isn't that the NCOPS logo? Come to think of it, wasn't Mersault? I was once employed by NCOP. What? He used to work with those people? Yeah, he did mention that he used to work at NCOP. Maybe he can offer us some insight. Do you know who these guys are, Mersault? Yes, manager. He gave an affirmative, alright. These are NCOP Class 2 staff members. Given the camera briefcases in their possession, they are likely members of the pin frame team of Service the Klaus. Mersault recited the information as though he were pulling it from a file he had already sorted and placed in the back of the shelf of his mind. Okay, pin frame team, huh? Anything you can tell us about them? Yes. It is one of NCOP's many field departments related to information gathering and processing. Their primary duties include the handling of NCOP's internal information, analysis of NCOP's internal intelligence, the sorting and arranging of NCOP's internal information, and interceptor. That'd be enough. Whoa, is he talking encyclopedia or something? Yeah, another thing to be jealous of. You think you'll be okay if we borrow him sometimes? Might be an issue for us if you just went and borrowed our team's encyclopedia. Looks like everyone agrees that he's an encyclopedia. Anyway, your encyclopedia is right. They're from the NCOP's pinframe team. Seen them a few times before in NCOP's nest. But why would people already busy enough dealing with nest affairs come all the way out to a shabby back street like this? Got any guesses? Have we seen this face before? I don't recall him ever closing his eyes. I am unable to determine that. The possible range of connection between the two pieces of information is exceedingly broad. Listing every relevant reason as to why they may have come here would require a considerable amount of time. Therefore, I will not present a determinative answer to the question. Ezra, staring holes into me with an unspoken "Is this dude always like this?" wouldn't pull any answers from me, you know. Because aside from combat situations, I've still got no way to figure out what's going on in his head. Okay then. Myself, maybe this will be easier to answer from an objective point of view. And that was when I noticed something I never imagined would happen. Ooh, he looks. I don't even know the word for it. Frustrated, sure. Mersault's eyes widened, his gaze fixing me with such force that I could almost feel the faint tremor in it. Ooh, he doesn't want to talk about it. This man has feelings. A leveling stare that came with, there is no such thing as an objective point of view. Manager. A clipped tone and a look almost bordering on repeat. A given judgment may seem infinitely close to objectivity, but ultimately all things are subjective without exception. I mean, I agree to that, but seems like there's deeper meaning to this than what you're presenting. I fell silent for a moment, lost in thought. Part of it was because Mersault's reaction had caught me off guard, but I also wondered whether this response might be connected to why he would always refuse to make judgments for himself. You know, this has something to do with his turn, which I know is just around the corner. Got it. Then tell me 3 subjective reasons you think are most likely for why these people had to come all the way into the back streets. I need to understand who he actually is as much as I can, because I'll never know when I'll get another chance to really get to know him if I brush this off with a simple, "Oh, I see, my bad," as usual. Yes, Malik. I will presume that their mission was one or all of the following: retrieval of a video recording or recordings in violation of NCOP's taboo, prompt elimination of the violator, contact with an informant in the backstreets collaborating with NCOP's nest, or identification and arrest of a wanted individual or individuals designated by the nest. Collect, contact, arrest. Good. Taboo? You mean these people could be a taboo hunters? Nah, no way, they don't send out taboo hunters for every single violation, you know. Like, wings usually leave minor taboo violations to be handled by subcontractor fixer officers or employees of the department in charge. I see these guys here are NCOP staff. Miss Engdu? What are you looking for in their pockets? I'm looking through their belongings for enlightening clues yet be hidden in the sleeve or the fold of their garments. Lady Moses has been gifted with the art of discerning the truth from what lies before her, but with but a single glance, yet my eyes are foreign to such a feat. Let me take a look too. This is an employee card, and okay, this one's a wallet, so let's put that back. We don't want to be robbers. Aha, this might be it. It's an order missive. Ezra pulled the sheet of paper out from an NCOP staff's coat and read its contents aloud. Work details: elimination of the individual of a Category 3 taboo violation. Address: Butter Street. This is the place. Which means all of this might be pointing to something. Whoever used to work in the studio and the distortion phenomenon might be connected. Yeah, now that you mention it, when that whole pop and change thing happened, it did kind of feel like a camera flash. Alright, let's start by combing through this place. Let me know if you find anything suspicious. Oh, at long last, half the hour arrived for my debut as a detective forsooth. Don Quixote must have been miffed for not getting to play detective back in Teacup. No idea where she'd been keeping them, but she immediately pulled out the detective props that had been given to Rodia, Rushu and Hong Liu back then. Verily, I had foreseen that the day would come. Fortunately, Otis wasted no time putting an end to Don Quixote's badly timed shenanigan. A sharp dressing down from her was enough to make our dejected chivalric adventurer staff the costume. How unfortunate. They just made that in like just one sentence background. We didn't even get to see it play out. Okay, then we should get moving too. Yeah, well, since we last saw this. How very interesting. Ooh, combat encounter. Misconception. Or the odds. All the available characters are all late lineage. Let's do this.
그대, 이 검이 필요하오.
We spent a long while rifling through the photo studio with the LCD team, but no one found any decisive evidence. There sure are a lot of photos around, but almost all of them are just pictures of buildings. Nothing much to tell from there. Aside from the canister containing the film rolls Sinclair picked up, there are no remaining items here that can count as proper clue, Executive Manager. I've confirmed that the rest are all empty plastic containers. Then it's probably best to check the contents of the film roll directly. Yes, Executive Manager, I'll find a way to develop the film. Did you guys find any sort of photo development room or equipment nearby? Let's search a little bit more before we see what's in that film roll. Mentor, what do you make of this object? For the 8th time, Engdu, I have no idea. If I had wits bright enough to understand all that lies before me with a single glance like that team leader, I would have passed the royal examinations long ago and secured myself a lucrative position as a court official. But Mentor, didn't you already pass the royal? But once swung, the sword does not retrace its arc, Engdu, so it is with life. There is no undoing what has already been cut. Thus it is unnecessary to dwell on what can no longer be undone. There is no after for what has been slashed away. Not for you, Mentor. But you not dwell on what can no longer be undone. I misspoke. I did not mean it that way, Engdu. I merely meant to say that I do not wish to recall my past. I am aware you have told me as much since long ago. Whenever you were placed in a position to retrace the past, I'm mostly at the eateries where you filled your belly on unpaid tabs, and each time you brought down the stone wall before our house by your own erring hand. Those are exactly the kinds of things you should never forget. Oh, my belly! I feel a stabbing pain in my belly. This spot. Oh, the very wound you once gave me afflicts me yet. The ones from when you thought you were only poking me with a scabbard, yet by some cruel turn, it was the sword that ran me. True. Mentor, you said it was completely healed and that I need not concern myself with it. Those very same words have been repeated at least 80 times. But it still aches every now and then, chiefly when I hear your sharp cutting words that I really don't want to hear. Ah, is that so? Engdu suddenly pulled out a sheet of paper and began furiously writing something down. What's this? I have written down the words that I have just said. If hearing my sharp cutting words afflicts you so, perhaps reading them instead will cause no suffering. Kim's face began to contort like a wet dish towel being wrung dry. I really can't believe this is the same mentor Engdu follows so devotedly. Where's all that dignity and forbearance Engdu said he had? Young Engdu, there is a matter I would ask thee. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who felt that way about him. Pray, speak freely. This may perhaps be a discourteous inquiry, but I too, when speaking to the others of those whom I serve, often ornament my words with a laudation of my acceptable degree, and yet, I understand your concern, Lady Don Quixote. I suppose this is your first time seeing Mentor with his shoulders so unbraced and his bearing so loose. In truth, when I first beheld him, I also wondered whether such a man could truly be a leader worth placing my faith in. However, upon my honor, I assure you that I have never once uttered a falsehood when I spoke of him to you. My respect toward the blades of my own and foes alike, my determination to safeguard what must be protected, even should my arms be torn apart, all of these are undoubtedly the teachings that my mentor has imparted on to me. Truly. Why, if fortune should grant the opportunity, you may witness Mentor's true self yourselves someday. That is to say, if we let ourselves be carried by the currents of the river to arrive at such a chance. Engdu gave her prosthetic arm a casual sweep, smiling sincerely as though she truly believed every word she said. Then, leaning closer to Don Quixote, she whispered, "Besides, unless I speak with disdain, stern ignorance, there will be no end to his digging in his heels. I would ask for your trust. All is aimed at his benefit." Yourself, thou hast been burdened with the trials of serving your superior. So that's what it was. I get it now. Just as I witnessed the budding of this peculiar bond of commiseration and camaraderie between our chivalric friends, the door leading outside was flung open with a loud slam. Class 2 pin framing staff, service the Klaus. We have arrived at the target location. It appears that the advance party has already been defeated. Wait, who are these people? Didn't they say there was only a single violator? Oh crap. Looks like it's too late to talk our way out of this. Whatever excuses we come up with. Oh boy, this is not gonna go well. The same thing happened last time when I saw the NCORP employees. I thought we had the wrong intel, and all of a sudden... A sudden flash blinded my vision white, as though I had stared straight into a burst of searing light, so intense and bright that it made my head swim. Yeah, that was the same apartment. With my vision blinded, the only thing I could make out of was Ezra's software. Until even that came to a stop as I briefly hushed. Oh. It didn't take long for me to realize what was happening. Seeing it again doesn't exactly warm the heart, wouldn't you say, Andy? Though Escort may indeed be passing through hard times, this alley was not quite so wretched in form, was it, Mentor? Is that right? Looks much the same to me. This place. Did we just get teleported to Escort? No, Dante. Though it generates a considerable sense of verisimilitude, this is... I think I know what this is. This is a presence. I haven't been able to detect it until just now, but somehow it was now surrounding us, saturating every corner of the space where we stood. The dreary stone walls, trees bend and coiled in grotesque forms, the sheen of the light, and even the air we breathe, all of them point toward a single phenomenon. This is the depth of the Phantoms made entirely out of distortion. There are completely different distortions where the NCORP employees were just a moment ago. Executive Manager. This is exactly it. This is what I was trying to do. What the shit? Unrealistic pictures. Chinokun distortion. Where Ezra pointed, the people in smart neat suits had vanished, and in their place figures clad in blood-stained double robes were approaching us with dragging uneasy steps. Right, let's fight first and talk later. Ready, young dude? My blade is poised to strike, Lil Ezra. And wait, where's the bamboo-headed dude? I'm afraid he has already taken his leave. He said he had no desire to cross blades with the Chinokuns of Escort Twat. Come on, man, not again. He's a repeat offender, that's for certain. Executive Manager. Wherever Kim's gone after, this definitely isn't the time to be asking trivial questions. Right, let's do what Ezra says and get ready for battle. On your orders, Executive Manager. Men, prepare for battle. Fighting new enemies. Oh, Angus here too, nice. Chinokun incapacity. Escort fixer. 6+ poison cell. This repulsion wound. Twin bleed. Cool. Hamstringing. More repulsion wounds. Cool. Prisoner transport oil. +5. Oh, you're only level 50. On Clash Loose, game hits with the memory. Push fire around town. Yo! To cover the eyes is not to be blind. These fabrics created using Q-Corp Singularity are fashioned into many forms such as blindfolds and headbands and are commonly used throughout the East. It is not unusual to see fixers and employees of corporate entities in the East covering their heads and faces with these products. The fabrics serve the same function as sunglasses, visors, and combat prosthetic eyes found elsewhere in the city. They scan the target's information in real time, augment the wearer's vision, and provide tactical analysis. At times, they can also serve as a means of communication with distant allies. Like an all-in-one form kind of thing, tracking traces. Okay. Throwing the Okra bear. Cool, jump memories. Bye. Chokehold. Is in the transport range. 6 units to spun, trust effect, expires, defeated, lose effect. Okay. Escort commands 2 sorts of taboo hunters, the Royal Censors and the Chinokans. Agents of the Royal Court, the Royal Censors that generally operate alone, moving undercover to pursue those who have dared to break the taboo of Salpil. Chinokans, much like fixed officers, form bands within their own ranks. Once an order or contract to hunt down a brand that is bestowed upon them, each band hunts its mark in the manner preferred by the hand. The hunt for nobody knows neither honor nor dignity. Province. Very interesting. Hindu, Great Lineage, LCD, Limbus Company. Syndicate, Random up. Voice bleed. Cuckoo. Acupuncture. Does not trigger defense. In level. Bleed 2. Bleed draw trust force. Dokkaebi fire. Like the power forward. Limbus company specialized custom or prosthetic prototype MK5 Dokkaebi arm. Dokkaebi arms, do you perchance speak of Dokkaebis that often appear at temples of old? I can scarcely believe it, yet after all I have witnessed while relying on the hospitality of Limbus company, the existence of Dokkaebis from folklore may well be within reason. Come to think of it, I do recall hearing of a name called Dokkaebi Unit. Ally less than 50, gain assist defense. On the outside, it looks no different from prostheses you might find in other nests or bright streets. But apparently this particular prosthetic limb has been created using technology unique to Limbus company. I wonder what that could be. If the development of this prototype was left by the LCD department, I would assume it has something to do with the power of distortions. Oh, that's not to say that I have any certainty regarding the matter, I was only in charge of transporting it. You see, it's just a simple speculation really. In any case, I doubt this is your average prosthetic limb meant for body enhancement. Balance, Goku, Souffle, where I must return. 3 or more are defeated. Oh. Fine. Anything new for you, Lady Ezra? Yes. Actually, yeah. All out attack mode in K70. Special handmade golden retriever exclusive app. Cool. I mentioned about which reference. Any of these weapons here? No clue. Alright then.
물의 배들.
네 상대는 나야. 가속 펀치. 뜨겁겠군. 퍼져라.
죄를 새겨주겠어.
물러서지 않겠습니다.
단수가 이어졌다면
그냥 5배.
침착한 결과입니다.
즐겁겠군.
몰아떨굴 수밖에.
귀와 요격. 겨냥 삼수. 상전.
오그라 떨굴 수밖에.
침착한 결과입니다.
That should be all of them. Surveying the area with measured alert, Engdu cast the blood from her sword with a few sharp flicks before sliding it back to its sheath. They're not changing back. Doesn't look like beating up the distorted ones reverts them immediately this time around. Perhaps a fortunate turn of events in a way. Let us search for clues while time allows us. Right. You take that side, Engdu. I'll search here. Ezra and Engdu moved about as though they were used to this kind of situation. Without even taking a moment to catch their breath after the battle, they began searching the space. Pretty! Don Quixote was the first one to voice her doubt in the surreal, unfamiliar situation we found ourselves in. We battled distortions upon our arrival hither, yet never before have I beheld our surroundings change with so sudden a flash. Today, I cannot make sense of the situation. Couldst thou render a detailed account of this distortion phenomenon? Apologies. It would appear I overlooked a briefing due to the urgency of this predicament. This is, according to the definition presented by Lady Moses, a location by distortion. It's basically when a whole space distorts, and since places and buildings can't move on their own, the distortion gets fixed in a certain space. As for this one, looks like the distortion's already progressed pretty far along. Middle stage, probably. They don't usually get this big, but this one here is covering almost an entire street. They're these people. They entered this space and got caught up in it, and our job right now is to get to the bottom of the phenomenon. What exactly gets people caught up, and what happens to them once they're in. Of course, we can't really rule out the possibility of a powerful distortion that's encroaching upon its environment. Oh, by that I mean when a distortion bleeds into the space around it and warps it. Oh man, I'm actually talking like our team leader. Rubbed off on me, I guess. Ezra continued with a sheepish giggle. In any case, we won't be able to suppress or cure the distortion even if we whoop these guys' asses 100 times. We need more clues to help us locate the inflection point. Maybe we should examine these people over here too. With a call, Ezra directed our attention to rows of collapsed people all around, all of them clad in doko robes. And these are the glyph emblazoned upon their headbands. Chu, he speaks propulsion and pursuit. He marks them as Chinokuns, functionaries charged with scouring and hunting runaway nobi. You hail from the homeland as we do. I am unsurprised that you know of them. I could hardly fail to know, for I, too, was once enumerated among their quarry. Scientists and technicians were daily being dispossessed of their stations in escort after all. So it was no idle tale. Scientists who plied their craft without threatening escort's coffers are seized forthwith and made nobis of the corporation. Indeed, I count myself fortunate to have absconded my friends before the brand of Nobi could be impressed upon us. Otherwise, Nobi, the wretched appellation conferred upon the people for the convenience of those in power, a vile practice and an excuse of their power-mongering, nothing more. So, kind of secret police. The so-called taboo hunters of Escort operate by much the same anatomy. Does the breaching of taboo summon the hunter, or does the hunter first seize his prey to thereafter frame the captured with invented transgression? If the powerful so desire to chase a man down, to take possession of his very being and keep him caged, then they need only decree that he should be bared the lot of a nobi. Such is what Escort has become today. My mentor, too, is one of the victims of that accursed practice. And could these people have been sent out to capture your mentor or Yi-sang? Or me, perhaps, or none of us? You mean to state that they may be conceptual forms of Chinokuns generated by distortions? It is a plausible conjecture. We are getting nowhere with this clue hunting. With a heavy sigh, Otis pressed her fingers against her brow as if her head is starting to pound in frustration. To delve further into the matter, it is necessary to determine why the Escort and its Chinokuns have appeared as the motive of this phenomenon. Considering the course of events we have seen so far, would it not stand out to reason that the distortion stains all nearby things with memories Most foul. The presence of Chinokun suggests a plausible correspondence to Yisang's memories. Conversely, however, the absence of Teacups time collectors weakens that hypothesis. In which case, the most plausible theory is that this particular distortion could have stemmed from Bamboo-Headed Kim or Engdu's memory. Engdu furrowed her brow and fell into thought as though she couldn't grasp the full picture of the problem. I've seen a few distortions that show trauma or affect their surroundings, but this one, I'm not getting that pop of inspiration, and even guess at what this distortion wants either. The white flash of light suddenly drowned my vision again as Ezra clutched her head and cried out with annoyance. If only the team leader was here. Cracking this would have been a piece of cake. And we're back, so this is why you kept asking whether we'd seen anything bursting with a pop. The NCOP employees must have it rough too, getting dragged into the distortion like this. I mean, what else were we supposed to do? It was self-defense. They were about to attack us. I suppose finding the root cause and taking care of it would be the fastest way forward. Let's just do what we can for now. Okay, first we need to develop the film we found here. We'll head to the nearest dark room and... Nah, actually let's first drag that slippery head-wearing coat back here and get him talking about the Chinokuns. That's probably our best bet. Every time we take a job, that slacker just slips off without telling anyone. As one part of me watched Ezra stamp her feet in frustration, I was also carefully following Heathcliff's team through the other part of my vision. Oh, I think I can help. Have you located him? Huh? What? Lost Clock found something? Yep, I found where Bamboo-Headed Kim is right now. Ooh.
돌아오고 있어요. 뒤틀림에서 다시 사람의 형상으로. 살수의 방식으로는 절대 도달하지 못했을 결과일 테죠. 이젠 좀 알 것 같네요. S사로 떠나기 전까지 제가 현장 추리팀에서 무엇을 배워가면 좋을지.
I didn't know there was a game. Like the sound of a hammer driving a nail in, but what precisely is being driven in? The camera waylays the light of a given moment and nails it onto rough paper for exhibition. Was the photograph taken as a record of remembrance? Perhaps a photograph's name ought to change depending on which purpose it is made to serve. After all, beams of light nailed down by a hammer only to be recorded and never remembered are pitiable things. Within printed photographs, deadlights scream in despair, burn and blacken. The deadlights perish screaming where they are nailed. Record the smile of someone standing in the photograph. Repeat. Ill.
그대, 이 검이 필요하오.
I wonder if you will learn anything new about Shin and Mang. Out of all people, I would put Bamboo-Headed Kim to be someone capable of doing it. Meanwhile, Heathcliff's team, bloody hell, what's up with these kids? They're showing up out of nowhere. How should I know? But judging by their getup, they seem like escort fellas. And things were going so well. We could have talked it out with those fedora guys who were rummaging around the place earlier, you know? But no, you just had to go barking at them first. Would have saved us a whole lot of trouble if you hadn't, right? Oh, so it's my fault. Those bastards look like they were nicking stuff. This is our contract area, ain't it? If they walk off with something important, we'd be the ones catching hell. Listen, bud, not everyone's itching to swap hair coupons into their pockets the second they get the check. Oh, for how many bloody months are you lot gonna milk that? Excuse me. What, you got a problem too, mate? No, not at all. Just wondering whether that gentleman over there is also one of our enemies. Is that the end of your troop performance? Shame, I was really enjoying watching you folks dance. Might have mistaken this place for the Peach Blossom Land of Legends had there been a cup of fine Maggioli to go with it. Nice wine. Nice wine. Yeah, that's an enemy, alright. Here's a name tag though. I think it says LCD. LCD or whatever. Who gives a toss? Am I supposed to put up with every bastard having a dig at me? The first time they just have the PNGs just freaking swipe off it. Oh dear! Such bold swings. Didn't know there was an encore to that performance, huh? You slippery little rat. Well, I do find this amusing enough, but if you intend to play with me, you ought to be more aware of your surroundings. Hey, behind you, there! Wow, he took out all those turtle-wearing people with such a single strike. I'd say that about covers the price of admittance for your troop circus, eventually. Well then, I leave the rest to you folks. Wandering blades and urine tails never linger on the stage for long after all. Oi, where the hell do you think you're going? Ah, damn it. Can we just go straight to a fight? What? So we can send our sinners to other places as well? And not just where Dante is? That's interesting. Shit. Holy shit. IC NCOP class 2 star. The Klaus NCOP. Into haste next turn. Bleed tremor. Pinning nail. Professor down. Bleed stack to tremor. Snapshot. Bleed. Bleed. Interns gathering. To the still photograph. Execution order, intelligence gathering, restable threshold. IC and rotation. Steel plate slam. Mill hit strike. Focus recompose. They look pretty neat, eh? See what they do. Just it's fun to see what they do by winning every clash, huh? There's 86% chance for hits too. Oh wait, there's more. Let me get this straight. Dude was here just a minute ago and now nobody knows where he wandered off to? Yeah, Luke just turned up out of nowhere, flapped his gums, then did a runner before anyone could grab him. Ezra let out a long, listless sigh as though she was getting sick and tired of even complaining about Kim. Lady Ezra, I cannot say your frustration is misplaced, yet I trust you are also aware that, more often than not, Mentor Section have carried out a profound design. He has never left his post without purpose so far. No, I get it, okay, but come on, would it kill him to give us a heads up before he goes zooming off on his own again? It's not like we'd stop him. What are we gonna do, tie him up, lock him up in a closet? We don't do that in our team, right? Remember last time, we all thought he was being a good patient and sleeping it off in the recovery ward, but nope, when the LCE got infiltrated, he snuck out without telling anyone and came back like nothing happened, and the team leader didn't even chew him out. Lady Ezra, that's... Oopsie, wasn't supposed to mention that, was I? Eh? Then the reason he failed to participate in the operation was simply because the LCD was lax in supervising its personnel. Is that what you're suggesting? Lady Moses bade us hold our tongues. For this very reason, she knew full well Mentor's intentions would be misunderstood in precisely such a manner. What part of this have I misunderstood? Did you not just disclose that the man deserted his post without authorization? That's the thing, he wasn't just wandering around, he was outside, all alone, taking down the rigged auto mannequins would lock down the elevator that leads into the LCE department. What? Taking down? Lock down? Oh. Yeah, it's not like he was dealing with the strongest enemy out there, but the recovery ward didn't have an emergency alarm and nobody from the department was there to warn him either. Somehow just caught on and did the job himself. Huh. But it's all thanks to him that the facilities team managed to get the comms back up and contact the LCE chief dude way faster, and that helped the LCA to actually deploy. They would have been delayed for another hour or two if he hadn't stepped in apparently. And he went fighting even though he still wasn't fully recovered, so he came back looking like he'd been processed through a meat grinder. So yeah, he did end up staying in bed like a good patient, in a lot of pain. Then the soldier is not entirely deserving of reproach. Nope, he's a less talking more doing type, I guess. Anyway, we were all stuck inside the building back then during the incident, so fine, I suppose there was no helping it. Today, though, never mind, it's always like this with him. He always slips away and pops back in saying it's done. My point is, what happens if one day one of those solo missions doesn't go his way and he just drops dead in the street somewhere? How are we supposed to help him then? Actually, how does he even know what's supposed to be done in the first place when nobody gave him any instructions? Bloke's got to be relying on his gut feeling, innit? Gut feeling? Look, I only saw the bloke for a bit, so I can't say I've got him all figured out. He's an annoying bastard, but he didn't strike me as some clueless sort who doesn't know where he's stepping. Heathcliff scratched at his chin, then kept talking as though he was stating an obvious fact. Today is proof enough, he's not one of us, so Clockhead couldn't have reached him from that far and sent him to back us up. And there's no way he just happened to run into us just when we were about to get into battle, innit? And, well, could be bloke's got some stupidly sharp head on him and piece things together, could be that. But I've got these moments when I get a flash of that gut feeling, however you want to call it. My boss man, Matthew, said he could hear that kind of shite too. Said I can hear them gears turning, or I think I hear rats scurrying about. You do things you couldn't make heads or tails of. Listen, there was this one time when we were expecting a life and death fight. Matthew says he can hear them gears turning, walks into a random pub, starts throwing back drinks, and he lost his bloody mind. That does sound like someone who's lost his bloody someone who's lost his bloody mind. Back when I was on the ship, some sailors used to drink the barrel dry before battling whales to blunt their fear, only to stumble around to the deck and fall overboard. Yeah, and boss could knock it back like a whale. Still, the point is, getting plastered right before our turf was not what most sane people would call a good idea. Had us all crossed, so we went stomping after him. And guess what? Turns out that pub was the secret hideout where the opposing syndicate was holed up. They were crowding around the gaffer, running their mouths about how they'll kill him and put an end to the dead rabbits. That's when we came storming in and had them slaughtered instead. Not a single one of them got away. We beat them bloody, every last bastard. And boss knew it'd play out that way. Sorry, but this really sounds like a bastard bragging to me. Are you sure that wasn't just a coincidence? I should think he was only a chance. If he was saying as much, then surely this was but one among many such coincidences. Thankful. Yeah, every time Matthew pulled one of those stunts, our lot ended up growing bigger. Wouldn't have kept working so neatly if it were just a coincidence. It is likely that what is often referred to as indeed an instinctive sense or experience-based precognition, more accurately, an unconscious process by which information accumulated in the subconscious is sorted and converted into sensible conclusions. There have been some extremely rare cases in which Heathcliff has demonstrated the ability to arrive at coherent conclusions that surprise even Faust. On further analysis, it would appear that he was employing a mechanism similar to a sixth sense, as some people call it. Is that a compliment, or are you taking the piss out? Though my mentor does not see fit to explain each step he takes. When all has passed, I often find that no footfall of his was taken in vain. I would ask of you, grant him but a little time and wait. Keep waiting, and the shape of his intent may yet become clear. Though I confess I have also been concerned about him as of late. His recent silence is far heavier than what I have noticed in the past. To wait. Don Quixote began, hesitated, then stopped herself from saying more. She only gave a quiet nod. Yeah, okay, I suppose our team leader has her own reasons for letting him be. That said, doesn't mean I'm happy about it. Let us return to the task at hand and do what we can for now. Fine. As the others quieted down, I finally had room to notice the place we found ourselves in. There wasn't a single ray of light, just a deep red hue pressing in from every side. I can't believe we've been chatting away in the dark this whole time, fellas, and the red lights aren't helping at all, especially with my age buddies. So while you're looking for the light switch, it's right here. And right then, don't turn on the light. I heard Musok's clipped warning. His voice coming from a corner I didn't expect to find. Musok, where are you? Ah, there he is. That corner. Is he washing something? I'm developing the film role, manager. Exposure to light might ruin the entire room. Please exercise caution. So he'd been doing his own thing. That explains why he was quiet all along. Didn't think you know how to print photographs, pal. Did Dante give the order to develop the film? Or is he taking initiative? What's that for anyway? He expressed the wish to have the film developed, manager. I am carrying out that instruction. I see. A photo studio first, and now a dark room. This may be no more than a conjecture, but it would not be unreasonable to suppose that the axis of this distortion rests upon a photographer. The film serial numbers either match those found in the photo studio or deviate by only a single digit. It is certain that this dark room is connected to the studio in some way. The images bear a striking resemblance to these photographs. I also believe this building and that photo studio share a strong connection. Oh? Where did you get these photos? I brought some from the photo studio. I cannot name the locations in the picture with certainty, yet they all appear to have been taken at various places in Encorp's district. Buildings, mostly. Hey, wait, I know what these are. People take pictures like these when supplying stuff to their department store. Correct. The photos must have been taken by a docugrapher. Massault chimed in, holding up an odd cylindrical container in his hand each time. He gave the container a shake every now and then for measured rhythm. Whatever he was doing seemed to be part of the process of developing the film. Film rolls are hardly affordable for the average resident in Encorp. In most cases, taking photographs is done as part of professional duties. These are approximately 21 occupations in District 14 that utilize photography. However, only a single profession involves routinely photographing specific buildings adhering to fixed standards that can be observed in pictures. And these docugraphers you mentioned, are the people entrusted with that job? Yes, they photograph the information to be poured into canned experience. A docugrapher. How could a person of such a decently lucrative profession fall into distortion? Decent job maybe, but how do we know if they're a decent person? Ezra replied with a clear-cut answer after only a brief pause. What makes you say that? Photo studio we were at didn't have any dark rooms, right? No, it didn't. My team leader said there are other ways of processing film rolls, but in Encorp you have to go to a dark room to develop and print them. Correct. Film rolls are usually immersed in developer solution to be processed. Which is why photo studios have those dark rooms equipped with red safe lights right next to them. But this place is pretty far from that photo studio. Huh, yeah, now that you mention it. Check out these windows, they're only covered by newspapers, all messy like. If you consider how sensitive film rolls are to light, it's really super suspicious that this dark room doesn't have any proper blackout panels. And you know films can cost a fortune in some places in the city, right? Who in their right mind would print photos in a room patched up with yesterday's newspaper? Oh, this probably isn't even a legit dark room. Someone just hauled in the bare minimum tools needed to develop film and threw them together in a hurry. Someone who didn't want to be seen printing photos, and people who don't usually avoid scrutiny unless they're doing something not so decent. If that's the case, then I can see why they might have distorted, right? Manager. Massault came to my side quietly, still giving the strange cylinder the occasional shake. I have a request regarding the instruction to develop this film roll. What is it? Please ensure that the light in this room is not turned on until development is complete. Aren't we already doing that? Yes. However, engaging the inverter opens the door to uncontrollable variables. This is why I have judged it necessary to make a separate request. Battle. There is no need for concern. I am capable of participating in combat while maintaining the development process. Yep. An astute man you are, Massault. Wait, can you slow down? A battle? You say? Surely there must be cause for you to believe so. At the photo studio, reinforcements arrived at exactly 11 minutes and 34 seconds after Encorp's pinflame team staff were defeated. Deductions based on the events thus far make it clear that the photo studio and this dark room share some kind of connection. Furthermore, Senior Heathcliff, Senior Hong Lu, and Senior Gregor have battled Encorp's pinframe team in this very location. I hear footsteps rushing up the staircase, approaching closer and closer. I have a feeling I know what Massault is getting at, but I ask anyway. Meaning? The initial rinse is finished. The process is now halfway to the completion of the second agitation. This indicates that 11 minutes and 30 seconds have elapsed since the start of development. A battle is imminent. Please withdraw to a safe position, Manager. Massault, you should have warned us way earlier. Understood. I will follow that instruction going forward. Massault, the unintentionally funny man.
돌아오고 있어요.
My favorite
뒤틀림에서 다시 사람의 형상으로. 살수의 방식으로는
After battle, something sits ill with me. Amid the sprawl of escort specs street distorted with the flash, Engdu had her gaze fixed somewhere high overhead, and at the end of her gaze are those photographs? A long line stretched across the open air, photographs hanging from it like laundry clipped to a clothesline. I mistook it for a kumjul, warding rope. At first I gave it little attention. Yet upon closer look I saw those pictures hanging from the line. Perhaps they had been strung within the dark room and remained thus when the distortion took hold. Bizarre. Observation of unaffected elements in the space occupied by a location-type distortion is most irregular. Indeed, the items we bought from the studio have already changed into images of various sites of Escort, yet those alone remain as they were. Let's take them down and check them ourselves. Just as I was wondering if the line was perhaps too high for me to reach, Massault stepped forward and plucked a few photos of me. In the instant he brought them to me, we heard another pop, and again a bright white flash blinded my vision for a moment. Good grief, this distortion likes to change its mind, huh? It keeps switching between S-Corp and N-Corp. This feels like getting caught in a flashbang detonation. My whole body tenses up, then goes slack right after. The other sinners were busy grumbling about the distortion and its sudden jumps, except for Massault, who stood right in front of me with the photo still held out in his hand. Oh, you didn't drop them? No. He gave his usual short answer, then returned his attention to the cylinder he had been shaking. He took the film out of the container and flicked the liquid off with clean, controlled motion. Is the processing finally done? Wait, we're back here with the lights on now. Is it okay to take the film out? Yes, exposure to light will not damage the film once development is complete and the image is fixed. There is no cause for concern. That's a relief. I couldn't say I followed all the technical details, but no cause for concern was all I needed to hear. Sighing in relief, I held up the photograph so I could take a better look. So, see anything odd in there, Manager Bud? There are people in them. The people in the photographs all look different from one another. Person? I guess person? Person? Okay. If I had to pick one similarity between them, though they all look cold and different. Yeah, that's the city alright, ordinary folks you'd see anywhere. These aren't like the photos we picked up at the studio earlier. Are these the kind of photographs they used to make canned experiences? What was that? The scenery around us seemed to ripple just now. I was about to ask Faust if she also felt the strange sensation, but it faded away soon enough, perhaps nothing serious. Maybe it was just a spell of random vertigo. Is it even possible to get dizzy when I've got a clock for a hit? No. Massault must have noticed that I was out of sorts for a moment, because he seemed to pause on purpose before answering my question. No? I thought you said docugraphers take these photos to put into canned experiences. Raw ingredients for canned experience are handled exclusively by the Grand Magazine. There is no known method for external parties to access them. What? Oh, I think I've heard of it. Canned experience, right? They're in high demand in other districts too, but the only brand stamped on them is Grand Magazine, same name every time. I remember some of my classmates bragging about trying them whenever exam weeks came around. Never had one myself though, I can't really explain it, but something about them just feels kind of wrong. That popular, huh? The unprocessed base content of canned experience, known as experience batter, is applied to reprocessing factories where docugraphers fine-tune the experience's details. Photographs are primarily used for that purpose. They can fine-tune experience. An easier example for understanding would be to consider why docugraphers take pictures of subjects such as buildings. A purchaser may wish to experience living in a luxurious building that they could never afford. Another may wish to vent out impulses of violence by experiencing the burning of an expensive property. Demand for haute couture canned experience is crazy by the day. So that's why the photos from earlier were all fancy buildings. Yes, Manager. Conversely, information concerning ordinary experience that can be easily encountered in reality is in low demand. Okay. Then why photograph these residents at all? Perhaps these were not images harvested for their commodity value, but pure photography in and of itself. Mayhap they have been captured for a desire to seize a vanishing instant through a lens. There are people who take photographs knowing that it will cost an exorbitant sum. I have seen some before. A staggering amount of money just to take a single photo, that is, if they could have even managed to find a photographer who would take the risk and take the picture. I'm not so crass as to put a price on sentiment and nostalgia, but spending this much money on film rolls, what could have made this investment worth it? I'd say, maybe this isn't just a matter of sentiments or memories even. Leafing through the photographs, I quietly express my thoughts. Executive Manager, I'm not exactly an authority on distortions, but I know they manifest through desires or emotions that become warped in bizarre ways. But everything the distortion has shown us so far points back to S-Corp, that is, the S-Corp, from the past that only Kim and Engdu would have seen and remembered. These photos though, they're completely untouched by the distortion. Doesn't that feel off? There must be a strong fixation at play here. Someone strong enough to slip past even the distortion. And if that obsession is something that refuses to let these memories be influenced, I think our next step should be to look for the people in these photos. These photographers are the only undistorted, unaltered views we have. Dante says it would be advisable to locate the people shown in this photograph. Ooh, good idea. Team leader did say that we should accept input from the LCB with open arms. Hey Engdu, can you get me the office catalog? We'll probably need to commission an office affiliated with 7 of Association. Let's look for one that can take the request right away. Can someone tell Ezra we're fine? I think I know where to find those people. Dante says one of the people shown in the photos has already been found. What? When? How? Well, guess I'm just having a lucky day. I pulled the radio from my waist and switched it on without answering Ezra's question. DWRC. You got nothing. I think she said, do we regroup, Clock? That one was especially hard to understand, Ryushu. Heh. Rodia's with you, right? Can you put her on? Okay. Rodia, you there? Eh? What? Dante wants to talk? One sec. I kinda went overboard with the bread and pastries. My hands are completely full over here. Pastries? What kind? Just one of everything. Neat. Can you grab extra brioche and baguettes for me too? I love the ones from that street, would be so good. Hold on, I gotta readjust the pile if I want to. Just throw them on TF. Their package. Ryoshu, you can't treat food like that, okay? Bakers have feelings too, you know? How do you think the baker would feel if they knew someone was treating their precious babies like trash? This scabbard is rattling again for no reason. Anyways, Dante, can you give me a sec if you need me to fight? Just need to cram this into my pockets real quick. No, it's not a fight. Huh? Then what's this about? I took a closer look at the words written on the wicker basket in the first photograph Miss Salt had brought. Where's that bakery you're at? Thank goodness. Bakery owner. Ah, I know who you're looking for. The owner of the bakery was a woman holding the same wicker basket as the one in the photograph. She took one glance at the picture I held up for her and gave a quick nod. This man, he works in Cannery 17 right next. He's a regular. He used to drop by every morning to buy sandwiches to share with his co-workers. Haven't seen him around lately though. And those co-workers, I assume they were wearing the same uniform? Asking the question on my behalf, Otis showed the baker another photograph. Probably. He was always wearing one too. I guess it's the cannery uniform. This confirms our lead executive manager. A few inquiries at that cannery should bring us to the information we need. Yeah, you're right, but it's just that she doesn't seem very concerned at all. She's one of the people in the photos that weren't affected by the distortion, right? Thought she'd be a close acquaintance. Allow me to verify, executive manager. Do you know the name of this regular you spoke of? His name? Am I supposed to know that? Though I wasn't expecting her to actually know his name, the apathy evident in her voice gave me pause. He took a photo of you. Wouldn't it be reasonable to assume that you're well acquainted with him? Oh, that. Oh, she looks a bit. The baker's demeanor changed when Otis pressed the point. She gave a strange, unsettling smile before pulling something from her apron pocket. A thin and round canned object. He said he'd give me 5 of these canned experiences for free if I let him take my picture. He even said he'd throw in the docugraph of the building of my choice. He docugraphs buildings, right? I hear he even takes work trips to the Nest every now and then, so I asked him to get me a docugraph of this lovely mansion I saw by the Nest suburb. I know I'll never get to afford a beautiful place like that, but this way I could at least experience what it's like. And gosh, it was everything I'd ever hoped for. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but there was a distinct eeriness to that dreamy, blissful smile on the baker's face that sent a chill down my spine. Ahem. Young Mersalt, are these canned experiences truly possessed of such marvels to pluck all semblance of reason from one's countenance? They maintain high demand across the city. District 14 is only one of several markets. Dost thou mean that those who indulge in canned experiences may experience venturing on an expedition to the Great Lake and bungee jumping off the summit of that skyscraper yonder as they remain seated where they are? They may, however. Oh, a magic can, allowing one to pursue any dream the heart may conceive. Verily, I confess my own soul is much tempted. It differs from pursuing a dream. Mass-produced canned experiences are made from base experience matter mixed with various modified information. The resulting end product enables intense stimulation through altered memory, therefore it is unlike a dream as expressed by Don Quixote. A piece of memory refined along the numerous processing stages of the canary's production lines is not equivalent to genuine experience, meaning that the usage of experience in her previous statement must also be amended. Memory is altered for intense stimulation. That does sound quite shady. How doth this cast a shade upon the boons granted by the can? Adventures and tales are, forsooth, inclined toward a little grandeur. It is because the memories provided by canned experience are extremely vivid. Statistics have shown that users of cans interpret them as authentic experiences and become dependent on them. Also, it's like a drug. Okay. Okay, I was about to start asking questions, but thankfully, a possible cause of the formation of dependence patterns is that canned experiences allow one to feel as if one has achieved a dream that is, in reality, impossible. I thought implying that the users are made content with devouring forged dreams stored in instant use cans. Worse still, the user may no longer strive to chase dreams in the waking world. For the sweeter and more splendidly a dream is embellished, the more impossible it will appear to be grasped with one's own hand. To become a cause for surrender, instead of inciting one to march forth, verily, doth it not annul the significance of dreaming itself if the resultant dream rouseth not the spirit to gallop toward it? Whether that annuls its insignificance, I cannot know. But they sell well. So, how much will you be buying? Buy what? You came barging in with all these questions, and I was patient enough to answer them politely, wasn't I? Don't you think you owe me a sale or two? You're not about to leave without buying a single loaf after crowding up my bakery and scaring off my customers, are you? Your kiss was on point actually, with our whole group gathered around and passerbys gave us a wide berth and hurried on, whispering among themselves. Nobody was about to come in and buy bread like that. Come on, lady, I practically cleared your shelf already, didn't I? You did? Where the hell are you keeping all that then? Do you even gotta ask? Of course I had some already, and the rest is safely tucked in my coat pockets so we can all share later. So you already ate some. Let's buy a little more, it's true we scared off the other customers. Understood, given that the expenses made to facilitate this operation, the lack of prior budgeting should not pose a problem. Oh, nice, there's a rice bun for me, please. Yo, Kim, he really did have a knack of making entrance at the least expected moments. Hey, mister, where have you been all this whole time? Wait. Be cross with me all you like, but just give me a moment. Ezra paused, waiting in puzzled anticipation, only for Kim to take a sesame bun from the baker's hands and chomp into it. Alright, I'm ready. Freaking waste of bread! Ezra's angry face drove straight into Kim's solar plexus, holding him to the ground like a crumpled sack of potatoes as he rolled away. At this rate, the owner might start charging us for the whole bakery next, roof and all. Best get away from here. Manager. Massault approached me as we walked down the street with Ezra and Kim still squabbling behind us. He was holding a roll of something brown and tightly coiled. I've completed development of this film per your instruction. Oh. So this is the film in that canister you're shaking. Do I just unroll it? Hold it up against the sun or other sources of light? As it is a reversal film, the images should be visible as they were photographed. I have no idea what a reversal film meant. I did as he said and unrolled the film. Okay, I see it. Huh, it's pretty cool. Oh, is it showing? Can I see it too? Move it over a bit. Let me have a look too. It was hard to make out the details because the images were too small, but I could still tell the strip was packed with almost identical pictures. Is this the same person in every shot? In the same pose in all of them? Huh, you're right. No, wait a second. See the arm here? The further along the strip you go, the lower it gets. Yeah, and the head looks like it's turning to the right. Huh? We were all squinting up at the tiny frames on the film when Sinclair suddenly flinched when Tiff like he'd seen something he shouldn't have. A second later, all colour drained out of his face. Sinclair, what's the matter? This reminds me of something I learned in school. You draw a picture in the corner of the stack of notes or a tick book in the exact same spot on every page. You start with the arms down, then you make one small change on each page. Nudge the arms up higher and higher until they're all raised all the way up. And when you flip the pages fast enough, the drawings stop looking like separate images. The still figures start moving. That class was called Introduction to Motion Pictures. I remember the teacher saying that video footage we watch are all made the same way. Are you saying that this is continuous sequence of still images. The arrangement of the frame suggests that this film strip is highly likely to constitute footage of a violation of NCOP's taboo. It's highly constitute. What? I suppose we broke a taboo.
뛰어가겠네.
Fight. Oh crap! As soon as I registered Basalt's words, my hand reflexively threw the film to the ground. Are we gonna be okay? You might have just broken a taboo. My mind began to race rapidly, traveling back through our journey, specifically to the time when Don Quixote had smashed that window at K-Cop and caused the wing to wipe out our team multiple times over. I felt faint. At least we had Virgilius with us then, and it ended up being not that big of a deal at the end of the day since I could revive the sinners, but some nest taboos can get us in serious trouble just for carrying anything that has to do with gender. I hurriedly turned towards the sinners, many of whom looked every bit as troubled as I felt. Still, a few of them expressed a casual lack of concern, citing all the crazy things we've gone through so far. Miss Faust? What will happen to us if this gets the manager killed? Okay, so this is it, huh? Stop freaking out, guys. They're not dying and we'll be fine. And cop's not gonna kill you on the spot just for possessing a film roll. Really? Well, it might be a problem if the film roll does contain genuine recorded footage, but it's not like you guys had a hand in filming it, right? When NCOP dudes get here to pick it up, just comply with their commands, thank them for their service, and nicely hand it over to the authorities. Everything should be a-okay. There is a possibility that everything will not be okay. Because I have developed the contents of that film roll in that dark room. So, the court will take the lack of intentionality into consideration. However, it is very likely that my actions will be deemed as aiding the primary violator of the taboo. Really? But team leader said that NCOP has their own regulatory standards regarding image quality, which they use to determine the severity of taboo violation. If the footage, image quality, or frame rate is within regulations, NCOP won't be seeking their fixes on our parts right away, and that could buy us time or give our company some leverage to make a deal, however small it might be. Cause what they're really sniffing around for is how close to reality the video is, or how close of an experience it provides to real life. So even if we're really unlucky, they actually come after us, it's going to be fine as long as the footage is low fidelity, probably. So what exactly does frame rate within regulations entail? It means that the interval between each frame should be like super brief. Think about photo slideshows. They only show you one image every few seconds, so it doesn't feel real or vivid, right? You can technically call them motion pictures, but there's no vividness required to violate their taboo. And let us analyze this film roll and see how vivid it really is. Massault, I trust that you are knowledgeable in subjects concerning NCOP, yes? Cooperate. Could this film roll be considered a violation of the taboo? Otis picked up the film roll from the ground and showed it to Massault. That cannot be determined, unless each frame is thoroughly analyzed and compared with adjacent. Without waiting for Massault to finish, Otis unrolled the film roll and raised it against the sky. The rest of you, get over here, we must analyze this frame. The film canister was labeled experiment, so I assume the culprit had created this as a test run of sorts. An experiment to see how close they could get to violating a taboo and testing the limits of the law. It may even be a mere collection of similar photographs that are pretending to be recorded footage. The sinners all gather around Otis and look up to the unrolled film in unison. Here, the flower pot moves between frames, doesn't it? The docugrapher doesn't possibly have moved the pot while also holding down the shutter button. I don't see any difference. See here, the expression risen on the subject's visage appears rather stiff. Maybe they're just a gloomy sort. Perhaps, yet observe closer, the stiffness arises not from gloom, but from strain to maintain it. Oh, if that's the case, maybe the subject really is trying to fake an actual footage by moving very slowly. It's a pretty convincing theory, but I'm not sure if that's enough to conclude that we're in the clear just yet. That's when bamboo-hatted Kim, who had been sprawled onto the ground ever since Ezra punched him, stepped into the conversation. Let's see. Look at the shadow cast on the windowsill. See how it noticeably shifts between each frame? Whoever made this knows their craft for sure, but I can't imagine a backstreets dweller would have any way to mess with the sun's trajectory. And a likely scenario must be that the creator of this film will deliberately made its subject move very slowly from frame to frame. What the fuck? Creating a series of disconnected photos that, when played sequentially, will look like footage that violates the taboo. In which case, this film room does not violate the Ness's taboo, correct? That is highly probable. So he says, executive manager, we should be in the clear for now, at least in regards to aiding the violation of a wing's taboo. Phew. But if he was willing to go through this much trouble just to test NCOP's patience, it's hard to believe that he'd have stopped there. Based on all available evidence, executive manager, it seems reasonable to conclude that the inflection point of this case is a taboo violator on the department. But what motive would they have to do with that? Sure, working for a wing subsidiary has nothing to do on being an actual wing employee, but it's still pretty up there when it comes to careers available in the back streets. Work for a subsidiary long enough and you might even get transferred to a factory job in a nest. That gives you pretty okay chance at a better life too. Maybe he was just tired of living that kind of life. Everyone has one of those days, don't they? The sudden feeling that you could be doing more than live the rest of your life in 9 to 5 hell, the drive to do something that takes you away from the pressure of trying to make it alive. Something about what Ishmael says must have tickled Vampire-headed Kim, because he suddenly whipped around toward her and shook his head. Maybe. But how many of those people do you think are capable of throwing away everything they've built on a whim? From what I've seen, maybe our culprit just likes to play with fire. Play with fire? Yeah, must have started by doing something that technically doesn't count as a taboo and inched on and on until he brushed thrillingly close to him. One thrilling shot through his camera and another with the next. Until eventually he ended up recording actual footage. Cool, then that leaves the question of what the heck was he trying to do with it? Might have been trying to screen it using a projector for all of this part of the back streets to see. What? But wouldn't that make everyone here, even those who unwittingly came across the projection? Right on, you'd have made those folks violators of the taboo. But why would anyone? So would you care to explain how you know that, Mr. Breadbrain? I asked around on the opposite street, and apparently some guy's been going around asking the workshop if they could make him a projector. Seemed like most of them turned him down, but they also said that he stopped showing up after a certain point. I had to guess that he got his hands on a projector somehow. Alas, is it not a taboo of NCOP to view recorded videos? Pray tell, why would any insane mind? Well, it ain't taboo if you only made a projector in it. Backstreet's blokes are down for anything long as there's coin. So how do we track this guy down? Multiple individuals in the same garb as the pinframe team have just been identified in the vicinity. They are all carrying the same briefcase. Oh, well, isn't that convenient? Maybe we can play this like a festival or convention and just tell people who look like they're involved with what they were looking for, so they lead us to wherever we need to go. Indeed, at architecture conventions, there would be those in formal plaid shirts and suspenders milling about, and I could always trust them to lead me to the convention venue. And was it common for those plaid shirt fellas to look around like they're scanning the area? Did they also go around checking people against photographs? Or collect video? Specifies for. They also radioed each other, glaring at people like they're glaring at, Perhaps you could answer that series of queries yourself. Nope, this crowd sure don't look like they're gonna let us follow them. And we're fighting. At least we have help. Hardly a challenge. What a waste of time. Well, at least they're not much of a fighter one-on-one. Service the Clouds is not a combat specialized department. While they have all undergone basic combat training for exigent circumstances, they are not prepared for head-on conflicts such as this. Yeah, I noticed they kept taking pictures of us with their briefcases. I'm guessing that's their primary job description. What are they snapping away for then, whispering behind our backs like a load of creeps? Collecting photos to include in the report for their higher-ups, I'd wager? I can kinda see how they could think we're involved in this somehow. Every time they follow the lead, they ended up encountering us. It's hardly a surprising rationale. Basalt stood a footstep away from the rest of the sinners and watched in silence as they tried to come up with an explanation. What is he thinking? What is it that he wishes to say? Or is he simply contemplating, observing without any preconceived notions in his mind? His silence shouldn't have been any different from his usual reticence, but as though by some chance or whim, assault? I was struck by this sense of brief yet distinct strangeness, and was compelled to ask to speak with him. Yes, manager. Don't hesitate to let me know if there's something you want to say, but aren't sure if you're supposed to say it. Yes, manager. I will do as you ordered, should one such circumstance occur. As always, his reply was as deflatingly concise and direct, as though he had some rule of his own that told him that this was the specific response for situations like these. Okay, but I'm talking about right now, actually. Do you have anything to say right now? No, I do not. It did not appear to me that he was trying to hide anything or choosing his words in response to my question. His reply was simply that, an answer, nothing more. Yes, a prepared answer written down in a list of responses. That's what it felt like to me, as though this particular answer had always been the only one he had available for situations like this. Clearly, prodding him for answers wasn't going to get me anywhere, so... A curt, sure, if you say so. I turned away from him and took off to join the other sailors. As I did so, a few words lingered at the tip of my proverbial tongue, asking to be let out, so I did. Would have been nice to know what you were looking at. Of that. He spoke. I cannot form a judgment. What? That is because the precise definition and nature of the subject of my gaze are just as unknown to me as to you. Should you point to an object or an enemy, I can provide a verbal explanation based on my current knowledge. If you require such information, please rephrase your question accordingly. Had I asked him again then, had I tried to get to the bottom of that line of questioning, could I have found myself the smallest peek into Mursal's psyche, which had remained entirely shrouded in mystery even after an entire year of travelling together. I suppose that's not up for me to judge as well, manager. Yeah? Another battle is imminent. As you have previously instructed, I have informed you of an imminent battle. Yo, boss clock, are you just gonna sit there all day while we do all the fighting? They're pouring out of that building over there. So they must have been on their way to that building. Our path ahead seems clear, Executive Manager. Let us neutralize those fools and Gotcha, be right there. The brief lull of battle came to a close, and battling enemies who arrived precisely at the time Mursil had predicted, we made our way into the building. Bloody hell, them blokes we fought downstairs must have been the weaker ones of the bunch. How does NCOP have so many guys on their payroll? There's no end to them. Haha, it is a wing after all. Are these the taboo violators? I thought the culprit worked alone. No, I'm quite certain they're the ones from the subsequent reports. The NCOP fixers appeared just as confused as we were. It was clear to me that they were expecting to find a taboo violator here, not a big group of dozen or so people. What were they thinking, setting order like us to deal with an organized taboo violation? They should have sent taboo hunters here instead. Why do you think they told us to consume canned experience containing mass melee combat? They must have thought our current manpower would suffice to deal with this. I don't know about that. Wait, wasn't there an extra report that one of them's all of a sudden, with a click, the room began to buzz with a metallic whir or some kind of machinery, and immediately I could tell what it was. Distortion. Standing in the middle of the shabby room was a device I wasn't sure if I had seen before. Its exterior was plastered with strange shapes that looked similar to what we saw on the Chinook's face in our earlier battles, making it difficult to grasp its full shape. The round object affixed to it began to rotate slowly, the dull, worn-out glow affecting the passers-by. Man, shield your eyes! The moment it began to emit a faint ray of light, Otis thundered in a commanding voice. Gah! I quickly turned away as well, making sure not to catch even a glimpse of it. The device could be playing a recorded video, Executive Manager. Even a brief look at it could constitute a taboo violation. Shit! I saw that, I'm so finished. Just as a panic began creeping into the voices of several unlucky individuals. Oh man, folks, this is starting to get a little embarrassing. A sleepy voice breaks through the darkness past my metaphorically speaking shut eyes. Mentor? Eyes open and do. What's wrong with everyone? Got dust in your eyes? The hell's wrong with you? Don't you know what I know that anyone who watches even a split second of a recorded video in NCOP gets? Of course I know, but I watched it anyway. Open your eyes, esteemed fellows, this motion picture isn't recorded. Hang on, he's right. That video is not a recording. Possibly emboldened by Kim's comment, or perhaps believing that seeing the video could be excused as incidental exposure incurred while subduing violators, then cop employees also opened their eyes and began to mutter amongst themselves. That thing talking to us? I finally allowed myself a good look at the machine, which was firing a conical beam of light against the side of the wall, and this was its message, delivered via white words on a black background. So you've tracked me down this far. After what I went through to take refuge in here, they still ended up finding this place. All of you blindly consuming fake experience after fake experience without even a care about the real thing. Piece number TC33224. You are under suspicion of a Category 3 violation. Reveal yourself now and forfeit your illegal recording. Should you comply, we will. What is foolery but witness buffoonery in the absence of fools? The hollowed vessel bereft of all but lingering delusions grants not even a brool of echo to the dogged excoriation of two. What's this fella on about? If you mean to obstruct our official duties, we won't hesitate to use force. Without even so much as turning around, bamboo-headed Kim raised his sword and parried away the NCOP employee's nail-shaped weapon. I'm only speaking as my whim guides me, my dear fellows, no need to get so huffy. I only aim to say that this abomination has no consciousness. After what I went through to take refuge in here, they still ended up finding this place. All of you blindly consuming fake experience after fake experience without even a care about the real thing. It's repeating the same sentences over and over. Now that does make me wonder, was I just as far gone when I distorted? Past all words and reason? I mean, if anyone has an answer to that question, it'll be you folks, right? Kim said nothing more. He turned a piercing look on us, all the while effortlessly sorting away NCOP employees' attack. As though he was goading us into telling him the truth. Well, don't suppose there's any point in asking. I am no different from this abomination. Just as it wills that contraption, I must have willed that the only thing I have really known, the blade, transforming into a mindless fiend consumed by a mere tool, cleaving through both fan and crew, restrained. Hey Junior, are you still on about that? I tried to avert my eyes, I truly did, but such disregard is easier said than done. How can I when the distorted being has no call showing me the... Doesn't seem to know how rude the unsolicited reflecting of the phantoms of one's heart is? It's got to be illegal or something. Illegal, I say. Turning a customer into a thug on a protection racket run, a mere ant before a car in motion into a swerving driver, conjuring dead followers before the eyes of their mentor, simply unconscionable. Rude as hell, as some might say. My poor heart almost burst out of my chest courtesy of you. All of you blindly consuming fake experience after fake experience without even a care about the real thing. In that split second, I think I saw Mussol's eyebrows twitch. A battle is imminent, manager. Just a natural response to sensing an imminent battle. A blinding flash, followed by an explosive bang, my vision immediately went white and decided to take its damn time coming back. And when it did, the first thing that came into view was a particularly unsettling landscape of escort, followed by bamboo-footed Kim surrounded by a small army of Chinook. Mentor! Keep that up and you shot me death, Bangdu. Isn't it about time we both grew accustomed to such sights? Mentor, still do I wake from these dreams drenched in cold sweat, that day might bind and drag you away. This isn't so bad, is it? It's just these folks so far, unlike earlier. Another flash. What was that? Everything went dark. I don't understand what's happening, but first things first, we have to neutralize everyone here and get our mission back on track. Adjusting projection. I've been straying far and wandering all day for this exact reason, and that was its mechanism. Faust, the world begins to shift rapidly before I had a chance to ask Faust what she meant. To the one who finds comfort settling in lies, I give you what most deserve your gaze. Bollocks, I'll be blind before today's over at this rate. It changed. It did? Unlike the earlier instance, one of the distortions is different from the others. As most was identified, there was something different about the group of Chinookan this time. They were accompanied by someone else. A warrior in impressive armor, wielding a sword that was just as strong. That armor, the great Huandu of the South Circle. To be reunited in such a manner. The warrior drew a bow that hung from the waistguard and knocked an arrow. I suppose this is how it would have gone down had you been the one to grab. military commissioner in Kyo. Yup. How do you fare, friend? Abbott no arrows loosing. Seize the accused. The warrior loosened the knocked arrow, which soared into the sky with a piercing whistle. And with that air-splitting sound as their cue, the Chinokun began to swarm us. What the fuck did I just... Oh, okay. Boss battle, I guess. The Eastern War Strike armors are not so much equipped as they are piloted. Escort Dujong Brigandine is one example of such armor. Much like Arcop's powered armor suit and the full-plate armor used by the Knights of the West, the Dujong Brigandine greatly augments the user's offensive and defensive combat capabilities. Yet these advantages do not mean that armors of such potency are legally supplied for combat personnel. Each unit has its own unique controls and comes with the limitation of requiring separate fuels. What remains certain, however, is that as with all the aforementioned armors, once a rider has familiarized himself with the Dujong Brigandine's extended reach and heightened power output, he becomes a machine of war that strikes across battlefields with the promise of slaughter. The Sword of the Homeland, Escop's traditional art of swordsmanship, is also divided into three bunches, Sal, Pi, and Pipil. With their teachings exist techniques to hew and cleave through creatures of colossal stature such as Sangri. To perform them in full, a swordsman must wield a great hundo capable of bearing the strain of protecting. There are those who persevere in training for lack of talent, then there are those blessed with talent, only to let it rust. All men say that the title of Apex Blade can only be seized by the gifted. It matters not, until the day comes for this blade of mine to rise high enough to meet the clouds. I shall persevere in honing my prowess. Cool.
배를 새겨주겠어.
Fortunately, Bamboo has the king who is fighting with us.
귀화 요격! 함수! 정민화!
피리리 빠! 하!
육천!
He has a lot of shield.
아름다운 것. 헛! 그렇지 않은 것.
된다면 사활을 건다. 죄를 새겨주겠어.
대전 그리! 아하, 비껴 베어버렸군.
Return from escort to escort distance, heal 15 for all seniors. Cannot be killed, does not take any damage other than skill damage from skills that take serious to main target. Okay. Skip to 1, turn start after entering in memory transition. Use at 0, remove to different condition. Entering review based on in-built one or if it's 0. Remove self and anchor, return, move the battle to a different location. So, is there a reason for me to attack the people? I wonder.
없도록
분량 5배!
자주 수인가 없도록
전공 모드 마크 셋! 요리색 도끼!
Oh, it autos. Okay. Boy.
벤다면 사활을 건다.
자! 자! 야! 자! 귀와 요격! 겨냥 삼수! 상전!
흉터의 결과요.
네 상대는 나야!
벤다면 사활을 건다.
자! 피리리 빠! 하!
Need to do anything else?
즐겁겠군! 퍼져라! 야! 자!
God damn. Yeah, analyze too.
똑똑했군. 구류! 네 상대는 나야. 샷!
죄를 새겨주겠어.
귀와 요격, 함수, 정린화. 귀와 요격, 겨냥 삼수, 상전.
검주먹 모드!
망을 참아. 숨을 거두리라.
흐드러지게.
태우고 싶은 것을 태울 뿐이요. 소림이 없도록.
아름다운 것, 그렇지 않은 것. 한눈 팔지 마세요. 메말은 당신에게, 파도는 반드시 밀려올 테니. 마음을 때일지도.
이 구속구가 나의 폭력을 저지하기엔 턱없이 모자르지.
즐겁겠군! 받아라! 자, 빌어보세! 이 돌이 기꺼이 그대에게 가서 맡기를!
믿지 않았군. 나는 분명 가위를 내겠다고 했을 텐데!
Just a little more, and I think we might be able to smash that dang thing to smithereens, but... Yeah, but it's really hard to focus on one thing with the huge warriors zapping in and out of reality as soon as we make ourselves an opening. It'd make our lives a whole lot easier if we could get rid of just one of them. But the battle seemed to be taking a toll on the sinners, more so than usual. It wasn't that we were up against an insurmountable foe, not even close, not to mention how Ezra and Engdu were here to help us out. But, shite, haven't they had enough? About time they gave up, innit? Oi, don't you go legging it again? That big sword carrying fella sure is kicking our butts, but I don't know if they're the key to solving the distortion. We ain't exactly flush with options, are we? Our exit's blocked and innate, like we can stop mid-fight to stretch out. With the battlefield constantly shifting and flashing between NCOP and SCOP, we simply did not have the breathing room to focus on either the projector or Im Young Up, who was swinging that great blade with frightening force. Besides, then do go cover his back. It shall be done. NCOP was sending far too many people against us. There weren't that many at first, but it seemed that the sudden spike in employee casualties in an area so close to the nest had alerted NCOP to our location. How do we get out of this? Faust, Otis, help me out here? I decided to stop racking my brain trying to navigate the situation I know so little about, and instead rely on listeners with possibly more experience in the field. First, I need to know if there's any way we can deal with the endless reinforcements NCOP is sending after us. And second, will defeating Im Gyong Up or destroying that projector bring an end to this distortion phenomenon? If I may speak freely, Executive Manager, it is unlikely that our present force will be sufficient to overcome the current rate of enemy reinforcement. Not only is this battlefield situated in close proximity to the enemy stronghold, but there is an unpredictable variable in that strange machine that makes neutralizing even a single wave of enemies difficult. I regret to be the bearer of bad news, but we are trapped in a battlefield without a single exit, which the enemies have already blocked. Without reinforcements of our own, there is little hope prevailing through this current predicament. Yeah, it seems that way to me too. But maybe if we can neutralize the distortion phenomenon, at the very least. Faust recommends entering the Dungeon of the Phantoms as our exit. Dungeon of the Phantoms? But how can I enter if we can't even talk to the distortion? Wait, maybe. During the LCB regular checkup back at LCE, he says that all you have to do is read what's on that note in front of his distortion. Apparently it's some kind of code. Right, keyword. This one seems to be a location type distortion, which means that regardless of where the bright flashes take us, NCOP or the twisted caricature of SCOP, we're still within its range. In other words, as long as I have the right keywords, I can summon an entrance to its Dungeon of the Phantoms from anywhere within it. Okay, so what are the keywords for this distortion then? Hohenheim had provided us the necessary keywords for this distortion back then, but this time we had to figure it out on our own. First things first, one of them has to be a photograph. It's obviously been present throughout the entire phenomenon. If I may, perhaps experience may be one of them. Yisang put his 2 cents in, having briefly retreated from battle to the back line. There is an undercurrent of obsession with experiences staining his every tale. It must have aught in relation to what has caused his distortion. Experience, the concept alone lacks substance. It might be something more grounded, something that is at once synonymous with experience, while maintaining a true line to NCOP's technology that was the core of his obsession. And experience? Most likely, thinks Faust. Alright then, photograph, can experience, not, seems to transpire as of yet. It didn't, but I can feel it. But it's the kind of photographs they use to make can experience, so that's what that strange sensation was, mentioning that word shook the distortion and caused that rippling effect. But it was clearly not enough to force open the Dungeon of the Phantoms. How many other keywords could there be? Scraps. Sorry. Oh, I thought they were all taking turns sharing what might have caused him to distort. And going by the way you folks were saying your piece one after another, I thought this was to be some sort of a Zen riddle. Not a Zen riddle, no, but where scraps come from. See, when enjoying the benefits of slacking off at work, all kinds of mundanities come to possess far more interesting quality, sometimes even revealing secrets invisible to eyes focused elsewhere. Take our person of interest, to it. He has been poking around this area of town with an eye-wateringly expensive camera in tow, so conspicuously that every store owner I'd likely prodded for information had tales to tell about him. Which tale added another facet to the long saga of a once-driven man, a man with a can-do attitude, an uncanny ability to pull himself up by his own bootstraps, and a clear path toward Nest residents who who became so bewitched by photography that he eventually squandered his fortune on what was, in the end, nothing more than a pastime. And that went on until he found himself reduced to a pauper barely making rent on a scrap heap of an apartment. In pursuit of his ideality, the man has lost a grip of fortune in reality. I sought out his apartment and found a few scraps of his writing. When cold rain drips through the roof, when mold and tepid humidity together encroach from the earth, the mind begins to wander, lost. Eventually, madness is evoked in a form indistinguishable from drunkenness. The pauper loses himself. Shadow darker than any I had seen on Kim's face cracked beneath the shade of his eyes. No, I had seen that look once in the past. Though it would be more accurate to say that I had heard it in his voice that echoed in his phantoms, distorted by guilt and regret. Perhaps I shouldn't be surprised by the fact that his distortion has, among the countless people here, taken a particular interest in Babblehead King. Photograph, can experience, and grasp. Like inserting the final piece of the puzzle, the space before us momentarily walked and flashed. Well then, we will be right behind you, Executive Manager. Miss Ezra, this is what I had seen then, the gateway to the One's Fathom. Ah, this is it, huh? Neat stuff. But, Ezra had to redirect her focus from our discussion back to the battle. Most of the sinners were caught in the same predicament. Some managed to disengage from the battle and prepare to enter the dungeon of the Fathoms, but Hong Lu, Gregor, and several others were still busy holding off the NCOM employees. You're gonna follow us right in there if we run in, right? Probably. Even those who aren't chained to Dante like we are can travel through the pathway once it's open, so yeah, let's not drive ourselves in an even narrower corner. I'll keep them at bay. Hearing that, bamboo-hatted Kim stepped up. My sword arm's not what it once was, but he should be enough for this. Besides, I have little wish to set foot in some ill-omened place and be tangled in such a bizarre mess. Is that really what he thinks? There was something in his eyes that led me to believe this was about more than just staying behind to protect our rear. He was... what? WTF? Eh? What a terrible front. At least try to pretend to be sincere and make it easy for us to believe you. Did you think that terrible excuse was going to fly? What are you trying to avoid, Swordswinger? You're not some kind of fucking kid. You're not some kid trying to get out of doing his homework. I remember hearing that entering the dungeon of the Fathoms will bring one to the spiritual fathoms the distortion is gazing into. Then what lies within must be my very own, or that is what the abomination is gazing into. It's decided then, you're coming with us. You ain't about to walk in blind to a place we know shite about, mate. Guide us in there, yeah? Oh, that. It keeps it simple. You try that too. Learn the hard way that homework, like summer reading, doesn't go away just because you don't look at it. It's still there even as the summer break comes to an end, ruining the last day of your vacation into an all-nighter. Arayashiki scabbard vibrated cheerfully in agreement. Stop procrastinating. Go do your summer reading. What was it you said? Face the homework? If the GPH. Face the sin. Save the ego. It is, after all, the attitude the company expects of its employees. Go, Junior. You guys too, LCB. I can handle them all on my own. You will meet alone stand. Hey, who the heck do you think I am? I'll show you why Team Leader Moses felt safe sending me out alone with you guys. This was basically a monster of the week situation for Team Leader and me back in our duo days. I can handle them on my own, no problem. I wanted to see how you guys handle the inflection point, but I guess you can never really have it all. Ah well, guess I'll just have to trust our two closer team newbies. To heck with that. Now that I think about it, I think I'm setting a pretty solid example as your team senior, aren't I? Hehe. I don't like this part. It seems that I have no choice in the matter as long as this employee card hangs from my chest. With a sigh, Kim shook his head and joined us, dragging his feet all the while. I shall take the vanguard. Ah, mentor, be warned that the entrance is floating. Take a tall step over, or you may die. I can clearly see that, and do bring me a ladder if you're really that worried, why don't you? If you need of one? I'm here just, you didn't worry. You.
돌아오고 있어요. 뒤틀림에서 다시 사람의 형상으로. 살수의 방식으로는 절대 도달하지 못했을 결과일.
yippee.
제가 분명 말했죠? 뛰어봤자 벼룩이라니까요.
escort Chinokun. Cool.
이리 나오시죠. 노비면 노비답게, 죄인이면 죄인답게 이 오랏줄에 묶이시길.
It's just up ahead, young man. Soon we shall find ourselves past the border of the teacup back streets. But what happened to everyone else? All snared by the Chinokuns. Those vile wretches. Sir, behind you! Look behind you! It is well into the late hours of the night, only a few minutes after the night of the back streets has passed. The child, hot on the heels of the two residents who had chosen to use their precarious hour as cover to plea escort, threw a heavy lasso at one of them. The lasso was made from ropes called ochra or scarlet bond. The fugitive fell to the ground helplessly and was soon dragged before the child. No! Forget about me and flee! Go! The fugitive shouted in a desperate attempt to at least get the boy out of there, but the child was a Chinokun, and the Chinokuns never hunt alone. Unlike the royal censors who act under royal decree, Chinokuns are fixers serving their own interests. And when the hunt begins, they form packs with those among their ranks who stand to gain from the same pursuit. Can I trust you to handle the kid? Of course. I thought we had lost you in the maze of alleys. I commend your tenacity for what it's worth. I hate to break it to you, but these parts are a common escape route for you fugitive. So thanks to you, I can navigate this entire network of alleys with my eyes closed. And you're proud of that? Proud? No, it's got nothing to do with pride. I've just been here enough times that I know it like the back of my hand. Those seeking a way out of Escort didn't have that many options, which made their routes rather predictable. They would often make for the borders between districts, where their hunters know they are likely to turn up. In the cover of dark alleyways, the narrow spaces between collapsed walls, and within abandoned homes where those with nowhere else to hide go find what little refuge they are afforded. There was no mistaking it. Fugitives fleeing their homeland already knew that these were the places the Chinokun would need to look. But it wasn't like they had any other alternatives. There weren't any other places to go anyway. I've already given up any hope of seeing Escort change for the better. I've given up. I no longer care about its current state of affairs. All we want is to put this place behind us and never look back. Yet, you still pursue us with such doggedness. Why? Because it pays to bring you in. And who knows, maybe I'll land a big fish and climb my way up the ladder. That's something I've been wondering for a while actually. Why does your kind flee? Do you actually expect something to change? There's nothing for you in the other districts. You think your life will improve once you make it to a different wing? The wings are all the same. Nothing you penniless, powerless people can do to better your lives. Thrash and struggle from within, flee to a different wing without. But nothing will change. Why do they flee, knowing the risk to their lives? What could possibly be motivating them? The child failed to understand the drive behind their desperation to flee, and he never will. You think we're fleeing in search of warmth and safety, in search of a home, nay, in search of anything? Wrong. We've grown, too weary to hope to spend, to expect even the faintest turn toward better days. We only seek to be free of this hell, free of this awful hell that will rid us of our families, our neighbors, and eventually our lives. Be careful what you wish for, because you might find an even worse hell at the end of your journey. That may be so, a life more horrid than this may indeed wait for us. But to us who wish for nothing save liberty, the uncertainty of tomorrow is a peril we would take with willing heart. Somewhat unhappy with the resident's cryptic reply, the child stopped chatting with the captured Nobi. And the captive too fell quiet, eyes turned toward the direction where the Nobi boy had fled. After an indeterminable amount of time spent in silence, the other Chinokun returned, but instead of welcoming his return, the child responded with a click of his tongue. When he noticed that his pair came back empty-handed, evidently having lost the boy. Where's the boy? Got stopped by some new upstart syndicate. Said I was to cough up a toll if I wanted to get past them. That can't be helped, I guess. Running a business after all, no need to incur unnecessary expenses. As they were preparing to return the Nobis, the child noticed something that soured his mood. It was the look on the captured Nobi's face, a smile. The child frowned, puzzled by the fugitive's strange fear. Surely he knew that his treatment would only grow harsher once he was dragged back. What could he possibly be smirking about? Curious, the child tugged on the scarlet bond tied to the fugitive and asked, "That boy who got away is just a stranger to you, isn't he? Not even your kin." You do know they're going to punish you once you're taken back, right? All that effort, all you managed was to help just one other person escape. So tell me, whatever are you smiling for? The child's query was met with another quiet smile. What that smile carried, this child would never be there. So very true. Hell.
헌팅 커틀러리 준비 끝.
Or something like that. That's how everyone's been living. Then my life, my photographs too. This is Escop too, right? It is reminiscent of my homeland. But the sights are much too hideous compared to what rests in my memory. Hideous was apt when we emerged from the entrance of the dungeon into Escop's streets. What greeted us was a distorted and eerie scenery I wouldn't be surprised to find it in an Escop themed haunted mansion. This is a place hardly fit for human habitation, far more dilapidated than once expected. I'll say is that people inhabit these lands for true. Really, I think it has a true vibe. Vibes my foot, I don't think I'll be able to get a wink of sleep in here. The lives of the downtrodden will be set by 1,000 woes and tenfold more struggles, and the streets they inhabit reflect that reality. Many times I had contemplated in consternation how the folk here had even the will to live on. The shadow that had begun to haunt Kim's face still lingered there as he looked around. If the distortion reveals the phantoms of those it gazes into, as Kim had said, perhaps this is how Escop is reflected in Kim's eyes. On the days when the skies were spotless blue, and without orders from the counselor, I would scale to the roof of the chuga and feel it rustle behind my back as I lay upon it. Thatch-roofed house. I thought it to be a respite, solely mine, yet in this mirrored world, another has walked here before my arrival. I joined him in looking up at the thatched roof of the chuga. Beneath it, a wicked tunnel have I passed, and now I witness myself before the one who shall strike the head from my torso. There was a figure standing tall next to the building, staring defiantly up toward the man on the straw roof. Im Gyong-ok. Are you home? Are you home? I asked. What a strange visitor I have. Why not call at the front gate if you'll come seeking the master of the house? Be not like a dog barking up the wrong tree. It's unbecoming. A dog? Really now? I can see you up there lounging on the roof. I'm not going to speak to the door like I'm blind. Has a spell of some sort befallen the day? To have such an odd occurrence transpire twice successive, the work of a bewitching spirit, I say. What's so bewitching about checking in on someone? Isn't it odd that a high and noble military commissioner of our esteemed corporation would come in person to simply check in on how a lowly mercenary fares? You know me. She certainly knows her jests. She marches forth, vested in war-strider armor that expects no violence. She wields a two-handed great blade like a demonic yaksha, yet harbors no hostile intent. Why? Who else might she be but Military Commissioner Jong-up, the principal of the famed Im family? You are certainly in the habit of speaking in hyperbole. I am not so noble that I deserve to be complimented with an epithet so grand as the principal. Not a compliment, you see, Commissioner. This is a rhetorical technique known as backhanded compliment, in which I damn you with praise, for you are so bound by your precious principles that you would rather be unreasonable than betray them. Does an officer ranked second ordinand have no wit to engage in such banter? Why am I out of line, as they say? You two are friends, right? This was our first meeting, so no, not at that precise moment. I know, I'm just saying that if I were her, I would have never let myself become friends with you after such a bad first impression. Can't imagine becoming friends with someone who keeps pushing my buttons. Maybe, but people do find friendship in such personalities if they have a taste for prickliness. You've got a friend in us, don't you? Fine. You have a point. I guess I do have a habit of pushing people's buttons too. But still, I hope you're not seriously comparing the way I talk to his sassy, gotcha-digging, pun-riddled... Well, the world we live in is a vast and diverse one. Consider yourself lucky that you're surrounded by so many quirky characters. It's because of that same luck that she took the joke well rather than respond by trying to cut off my head. You are out of line, yes, but I knew you would be so I won't take issue with it. Though I must admit, the rumors of your sharp tongue do you no justice. The streets speak of a man they call Kim Lip, Bamboo Rainhead, a man who once had intended to pursue the path of the brush, only to realize the sins of his forefathers and exile himself to the back streets. Yet with the sheer power of will, gritted teeth, and scarred heart, did he find in the path of sword another way into the nest, as the right state councillor sworn guard at that. That's you, isn't it? All those superlatives, yet the reality is that I've merely found the path of man butchery as a viable way of life. Direct any compliments you have toward the right state councillor, if you will. I am but a butchering blade that happened to fall into the right hand. Not a compliment, just a word on the street. You're a quick learner. And spare me the fancy reading of my name. Watching you pretend that pompous posturing comes naturally is painful enough already. Keep it simple and spell it out as bamboo-headed kin. Thank you. And does he continue to veer away from the line? I'd rather be a corpse cold and dead than stay in line. Have a shred of mercy on me, O mighty one. If I'd come all the way here just to punish you for every little misdeed and ill manners, I would have laid you out and split you in two, 3 ways before this riveting dialogue brought us this far. So, feel safe to continue traipsing outside the line, but in return, would you answer a few of my questions? I've been watching you from a distance for a while now, and really, stalking someone's not very principled of you. You sure she didn't give you a good wallop after that? No, truly a mystery, isn't it? Besides, she did give me free rein to continue traipsing outside the line. I couldn't in good conscience turn down such offers of kindness, not that I ever do. You sure have a way with words, a way of finding your way under the listener's skin, huh? Perhaps, yet are such japes not to be expected among fellowships of close mutual bond. You don't look like friends yet, though. So, care to tell us why she's been watching you? I was engaged in the age-old pastime of throwing rock. Oh, you speak of the game of Sukjeon? Save them for the festivities are done. I was throwing rocks at the passers-by. Fie on thee! That is a wrong deed, good sir. I suppose it is. People of the Pure and Sal, in particular, found it to be distasteful, and they did not let their discontent be hidden. But the P and the downtrodden cheered me on to a degree. They found it cathartic. Oh, curious. And is it the right deed or deed not right? The pure style? Whatever is it that thou art describing? It is well-known truth that Escop is also known by its other name, Salpepio Agro Industries. Owing specializing in the general agriculture and livestock industry of the city, the vastness and the depth of its responsibilities have necessitated such divisions of labor. Thus, District 19 is split into 3 court circles responsible for different aspects of the industry, Sal, P, and Pure, each meaning flesh, blood, and bone, respectively. Sal, responsible for the cultivation of rice and other grains, Pure, responsible for meat and livestock, and P, in charge of the technological aspects of both. As a scientist and a researcher who once taught at ESCOP, you must have felt the persecution the P faced firsthand. It is believed that the Trinity was designed for balance, that they would provide assistance when requested and keep one another in check when needed. It was once a promise of cultivating a fair and sustainable ESCOP. Alas, the noble intentions of yesteryear now lie sullied. The Trinity now degraded to 3 quarreling bands of profiteers blinded by avarice, relying not on honor but betrayal and perfidy to claim the top of the triangle. An adherent of the flesh claims the position of the chief state councillor and monopolizes rice as the common folk star. An adherent of the bone, once a right state councillor, toadies to Sao and rises to the seat of the left state councillor. When such shameless conspiracy permits not the common folk to even till the land as they please, anguished cries of suffering flood the street. Thus, the common folk are reduced to livestock bleeding out, hanging from the hook, while bone and flesh collude like that of the emaciated dead. Who shall claim the severance of flesh and bone and force them both to yield? An oft-heard poem when walking the streets of Escop. Oh. And the people whom thou have targeted with thy rocks were... they weren't people. Rat. Oh yes, the councillor finds rats detestable. Much better to stop them from a distance if you want to crush them. By any chance, do these rats have a habit of sneaking into the royal court to better pilfer what the common folk rightfully deserve? They certainly suffer from a severe case of kleptomania. Will you purposefully throw a rock at his feet to trip him to the ground, knowing that he was a kleptocrat? Well, I simply could not help but react as such in the presence of scurrying rats. Mr. Ott, you find funny? Speak if you do, I could use a good laugh about now. Just heartily expressing my gratitude, that is all. Those whose corruption is revealed ought to readily receive their skulled ochre bonds. The gall to scamper away with their expensive prosthetics. My men were having some trouble apprehending them for now. Well, if that is your intent, you are invited to leave a token of gratitude somewhere in the vicinity. Perhaps I'll happen to pick it up. Wouldn't want to get thrown in the dungeons teeming with real vermin. Oh, I was going to do just that. So, when will you stop being a swan and be human again? What? When do you clock out? The way I see it, you're not the kind of person who ever let a drop of liquor get to his tongue while on duty for the right state councillor. Return to this toga when you're human again. I'll buy you a drink. Mnestic. Ha! It's a funny one, Mentor. And this fellow you had often mentioned fondly was Frick. Haven't I mentioned her a few times as the drinking fellow I had left behind in escort? I must say, I myself found that relationship most intriguing, that the military commissioner of the Tau faction would fraternize with a bodyguard of the right state councillor, who was of the P faction. Still, I knew not of the fellow was none other than a military commissioner of escort. Andrew's eyes had gone wide in shock, her voice rising unconsciously. It is news to me that you have had ties to a second order official or military officer with command over high-ranking employees of the wing at that. Well, I was in the service of the right state councillor, who's a first ordinance, you know. But, well, that might be true, yet you would like to know why I, with such a powerful friend by my side, have ended up in exile from escort. Yes, the silence over matters of such great import is why I have come to introduce you to others as a reticent one, Mentor. We had made the Blade lineage our home, for escort availed no home for us but the lineage. But you, Mentor, I would rather show than tell. Let us proceed, shall we? This enchanted place seems intent on unearthing all of my past, both savory and unsavory. All shall be revealed in due time. Jim looked around, a twinge of loneliness in his eyes before moving on. We followed without a word. So that was pre-library, I presume. Madam. We emerged into a dark and muggy cavern, filled with air so stale it almost felt stifling. Up ahead, a thin ray of light shone through the darkness, seemingly guiding our path. Following the light led us to a four-way fork in the road. A constant, powerful gust howled through one of the paths. Another was filled with a metallic tang of blood. Then there was another that was entirely silent, and the last one echoed with the harsh noise of sword striking against sword. Which path should we choose? Silent. The passage was quiet, but that only intensified the uncanny dread pervading its silence. Nervous, the sinners progressed through the passage accompanied by the absolute lack of sound, save for the deep echoes of their own footsteps, until we reached what appeared to be a pedestal made of stacked stones. On top of the pedestal was something we'd become familiar at this point, a can with one healing. Huh. Take it. Alright. To battle we go. A new enemy. Faithful great lineage of like a star. Or bleed acupuncture. Flash series counter. The last breath. Quick slash ring of assaults. Breath taken together. Even better against on huge. Dang! So you're saving the soul. Oh no, he is here, what the fuck? Music. Bamboo had a kick. Drop the sword. Acupuncture. You, my flesh. Use the criminal rules of the green kick. Green devil. Fugitive. random. Use 10 crew. 4 play of crew now. Double use. Yeah. With my flash being down. Okay. Here's a combo.
물러서지 않겠습니다.
귀와 요격 함수
정리노화.
무대 배들
내 안에
떨굴
충분합니다.
수밖에.
배워냈어요.
아하, 비껴 베어버렸군.
Here's this blue eye now.
즐겁겠군.
아름다운 것 몰아떨굴 수밖에.
혈이 낭자오.
발광 차단.
Yep. I saw that you might issue. One. No different. Navigating our way through the streets of Escort, we come across a young man hugging a blade, his gaze wandering blankly toward the sky. He seemed to have caught us staring. He turned his head toward us, gave us a once-over, then slumped back to where he sat. Pass on by, folks. I have no intent of bringing you harm. His voice was familiar, but I couldn't quite place my finger on it. Search not for a revelation in the clouds drifting by, for they hold no answers. Kim blurted out of the blue as we were about to walk past the sword-hugging man. Oh, then that man must be. Do you know me? Must I know you to impart some unsolicited advice? A meddler in me simply cannot help himself when walking past a disadvantageous game of baduk. The man widened his eyes in brief surprise, then began in a contemplative voice. You are a player of greater dawn than I can tell. So if you will, permit me to solicit some advice. Ashamed I am of my past plays, for they were dishonorable and undeserving of ridicule. Thus I had begun to wonder if I would be of better use, should I become a blade of for hire. Then a man of incorruptible integrity, a just soul, sought me out and asked me that I serve as his blade. Yet I worry that my filth may befoul his hands too. What say you? Would you say that I take this opportunity and make this play? Or shame you may be of your past plays, yet what of it? What choice have you got but to continue placing the stones when the game shall avail you no mercy of reverting a move? What if continuing this play leads me to lose all of my territories, then resign the game? You give it all to the end, and if it is indeed a bitter one, then what can you do? The least you can do is play it until the game is called. You're playing by following the flow anyhow, aren't you? Now we have but just met. It seems as though your gaze penetrates deep into my bones, stranger. Take this as a token of my thanks for your meddling. A light bulb seemed to have gone off in his head, light flashed in the eyes of the man who had the key of the past, and he jumped to his feet and sped off. But not before handing us something. Not that you'll be able to do anything to change the course of today's losing game, Kim whispered. Eggwood Cane Sword. If an ally was not hit by an enemy this turn, the said ally gains The ally gains 4 points. Oh, so says next turn. Hit by enemy. Gains crit up. Great range doubles it. Nice. The bleed lineage.
벼릴 수 있는 기회겠죠?
I catch a glimpse of a figure staring off into the darkness of the unlit prison. Bamboo-hatted Kim lets out a sigh, but before he even fully exhales, who goes there? A sharp cry cuts through the stagnant air. Someone here must have noticed that. What should we do? Claim that we are the prisoner's guards, keeping our eyes on the prisoner, unsheath our weapons and stand ready for claim. At least put a little effort into your lives, huh? Clearly pretending to be prison guards the way we are was a lie to be too easily disproven. We took to our heels as the woman, red with anger, came after us with a sword and sheath. Nothing happened. Huh. Was unexpected. Okay, carry on. Carrying
착수.
on. No, it can't be. My life is the experiences, the memories I recorded are different. Alas. Kim came to a stop with a grim look on his face. Again, I am returned to this day. His voice had dropped to the same morose pitch we had heard before. Mentor. I have been here before. Ah, have you? Had a peek into my memories when I had distorted, did you? I must say, it's a bit embarrassing to have my deepest and darkest secrets revealed like that. Kim grinned sheepishly as though to clear the air, but it was becoming rather clear to me what he was doing. That his flippant demeanor and seemingly devil-may-care attitude were but a mask to hide the true darkness in his heart. Then this must be, indeed, the right state councillor's estate. Someone whom I had once protected, thought was worth protecting. Into the front yard. Watch out, Engdu. Take a tall step over, or you might trip. Ah. There were bodies splayed about the yard, and I couldn't dare start counting them. I felt faint watching the aftermath of the carnage. Some were decapitated, some had their torsos split diagonally, and some of them were so mangled that I could hardly even tell which parts belonged to who. Are they not retainers of the royal court? What were they doing at the councillors? No. Were they killed by assassins? Assassins did infiltrate the estate, yes. You're looking at what remains of them. Though I had but a moment to glimpse it, I clearly remembered what the S-Corp logo I saw in Kim's Phantoms looked like. The hats these corpses were wearing are adorned with the same logo. So why is Bamboo-hatted Kim calling them assassins? In this corrupt land, the right state councillor's life was always as precarious as a candlelight in a tempest. Such is the fate of all those who have the guts to speak the truth in S-Corp, where positions of influence are hoarded by corrupt sycophants whose chokehold on power is ironclad. The most prominent among them, the left state councillor, with the chief state councillor's blessing, sought to wield his own private army to silence forever the tongues of those who would advocate against the corrupt. Private army? But they are prohibited in our homeland. So they're kinda like how the great houses of each corp each had their own army? That is similar to what is happening, but not exactly. If S-Corp circumstances were to be explained in plainer terms, it would be akin to a situation in which a company, whose employees outwardly appear to be all working for the same side, is in fact fractured within, with certain departments pledging allegiance to a different individual than the chief executive. But assassins that had been in the past at least wore masks to hide their allegiance. I had thought this no different, though with assassins significantly less invested in maintaining their disguises, not realizing that I had just placed my stone inside the tiger's maw. Looking around at the yard teeming with the assassins, I recall thinking it odd just how many of them they had slain. Though the left state councillor's power had grown to loom over that of the king, I should have realized how ridiculous such a brazen attempt on the life of one of the triumvirate councillors at the royal court would have been foolish. I had failed you, councillor. There were simply too many of them, as though they had decided that tonight was the night they would finally slay the council or die trying. I was soon overwhelmed, and some of them eventually managed to get around me and reach the councillor's bed. The moment I heard them breach the door, all strength left me. I fell to my knees. I, Kim Lit, am a poor excuse for a bodyguard, and I had failed you. And I knew who the author of the foul scheme was, the left state councillor. Let this be my final act of loyalty ere I depart this life. Though I am too meager a person to carry on your will, councillor, what I can do is plant the seeds of terror in the hearts of the unjust, if only to shackle their blackest hearts from committing greater misdeeds. I shall go before the villain who contrived this betrayal and see that the favour is repaid with steel. Only by such vengeance shall the councillor at last close his eyes in his grave. Also I had thought. What? Greetings, on the bodyguard of the right councillor. I see that you've been hard at work. Accursed parasite. I ought to clear you alive and reveal the wretched soul underneath. Come, girl, you have to show your face here. Oh, here? You mean the home of the Honourable Right State Councillor who toils day and night in service of the Royal Court? I know the assassins were sent by the Left State Councillor. Get out of my way. I shall collect your head once my task here is over. Alas, alas, this unsightly display of anger shames us all. Are all those who live by the sword as uncouth as you? The cruelty of your damning words is an oppression upon decent men like myself. Let's see how long you can. Heed me, soldier. Arrest that man, butcher. What? The accused shall heed his crimes. 1 moon ago, an anonymous letter threatening to take the life of the revered Right State Councillor arrived at the Royal Court. This audacious, contumelious, and effrontery is an affront not only to the Royal Court but to the heavens and men alike. The revered Left State Councillor, who has long been in disagreement with the Right State Councillor on matters of the state, found this offence to be so heinous that he has personally commanded his men to protect his political enemy on the day writ on the letter. Huh? Yet, a tragedy has struck. All those lives sent to protect the noble councillor are slain. The bravery and justice of their honourable hearts trampled upon the ground by this villain, and now the villain promises death to yet another pillar of the court. Thus we are proposed to arrest the criminal and restore the rule of law. You spout senseless dribble. I saw your men make their way to the councillor's bedchamber with their blades drawn. The councillor? Might you be looking for the Right State Councillor here, alive and well? Right State Councillor, pie circle. My lord? The vile wretch leaned down next to my ear and whispered, perhaps you should have known where not to stick your nose. Did you really think you could overcome the entire private army in the Left State Councillor's service? He sent so many of his men to their deaths. As to lure me into a trap? Aye. Now don't take this as a compliment, as you're not even the apex blade of the homeland. Nor are you the Ungum Cloud Blade, but you have been a rather egregious obstacle to the execution of the plan. Let me get through with the first thing in my plan, with you constantly getting in my way. Let's keep you nicely locked up and out of trouble. This can be. For what it's worth, young man. I'm sorry. I've come to realize the error of my way. The truth is, though Escort is indeed a pawn to bit potter, he was those like us who extracted the dirt from his bed and turned it cloudy. Fearing the worst, we arrived to protect the revered Right State Councillor. 1,000 curses upon the villain. In his quest for the Right State Councillor's life, the butcherous man has already watered the ground of Escort's labourer, the very lifeblood that runs in the veins of the most severe man. And that charcoal-hearted villain is none other than the Councillor's sword guard, Limbus. Lead us, O villain. Unhoped. Let the Ohra bonds take you. You've fallen far, my friend. You who were once considered a candidate to the honour of Ungom. And with that brand of Anobi sapping your strength, even your mastery with the blade will only dull. Are you to be my executioner, young cop? I hadn't received the orders to behead you, if that is what you're asking. Nor would it befit someone of my station to sully my hands with an executioner's duty. How will you live on now? I don't know. The councillor has abandoned me. There is no path forward. Pulpepio Agro Industries is more corrupt than I had thought. Rotten to the core. There is where the game ends. Time to resign my stove. Indeed it is. Are you freeing me? Once a game has been lost, you start a new and test other gambits in the next round. Why don't you stop playing this unfair game where the opponent always touches stones placed on all 9 star points on the board, and find a place where you can begin anew in equal standing? As soon as they realize it was you who freed them, they'll come after you. It's okay. Unlike someone who made a fool of himself and fled after passing the royal examination, I have the royal court's backing as its military commander. My position in the court isn't so fickle that they would cast me down right away just because I let go of someone like you. You're a branded criminal. In the eyes of the royal court, you're as good as inconsequential. I'll report that even if you were to flee, you would still be nothing more than a plaything in the palm of their hand. I didn't think you were the kind to go against your honorable principles. Some things can't be done without bending a rule or two, and you are needed. Escort's future is in need of those who are less bound by expectations, yourself. Besides, it's not the rules I stand by, it's my own principle. I did say I owe you a token of gratitude, didn't I? Consider this a second debt. Gratitude and vengeance, after all, share a common quality. They are both debts to be repaid. Up. Come with me. There is no hope left for Escort. You said it yourself, didn't you? You'll never win as long as you're playing their rigged game. Listen, they might have a 9-stone advantage over you, but to me, it's as small as 3. I'll manage and keep my finger on the pulse. Besides, change doesn't always have to come from the outside. The old wisdom says that to catch a tiger, you must enter its den. But will it help to have an ally waiting in the tiger's den to back you up when the time comes? There, all done. Your bonds are set. Go now. Go and build your strength beyond the walls of Escort. Yet beware of relying overmuch on foreign power. I don't have it in me to take up such grand purpose. I'm done with Escort. You know how I am. I just go with the flow. Yes, do as you will, go with the flow, be whatever you want to be. But I'm just hoping that the currents of the river will someday bring you back to Escort. That's all. Though I had left the rigged game, my records afterward weren't stellar. The laying of the stones on my board was always full of holes and mistakes. I joined the blind lady, become their mentor, dragged them into the library, until eventually I cut down those who had placed their faith in me, self-defeating move after self-defeating me. When Up had let me go, I thought I had escaped the tiger's maw. But as I let the game progress with the flow, I soon come to the realization that my life was an endless sequence of connect and die. I was in a losing play from the start. Shadows dancing by the distant humanoid form begin to grow like wildfire, and those in the attire of the Blade lineage one by one leap over the wall and approach us, like the projections of Kim's duckling. They were from his memories. Films and photographs can sometimes remain undoctored, but the impressions a person gets from viewing the photograph malleable, and they must be after. Yeah, Kim believes that if the Blade lineage were to come back to life, they will want to kill him. Unfortunate. A man with a sword hanging from his belt was wrestling an old woman trying to take the bags she was carrying. It soon became clear from their argument that the old woman was the man's mother. Though it seemed that the old woman was trying to reprimand her son, he responded by manhandling her and refused to let go of her bags. Should we do not and watch? That man will surely injure the old woman. Should we get involved? Threaten the sword carrying man and get him. Attack the sword. Get him. An assault held up their weapon, turning it upon the man in a threatening manner. The man seemed to shrink back in fear. Unfortunately, the old woman who was arguing with the man was no less frightened. A moment later, the man snatched the bags and disappeared into the dark alleys. I thought I heard bamboo-hatted Kim click his tongue under his breath. We told the woman we could retrieve her bags, but she let out only a heavy tired sigh. The man was her son, she said, so there was no need to go that far. We asked her to get a full picture of the situation. She told us her son had once been a bright young man, talented in both the brush and the sword, but one day he left their home in a rush, saying he had a noble cause to serve, as though a great spirit had made home out of his mind. Since then, he would return home from time to time to carry off the family's grain sack and what little belongings their home had left. As the Blade lineage for you. When people gather under one banner to form a syndicate, rogues who find their way in, they may call themselves Blade lineage, but in truth they are no better than brigands and highwaymen. My distaste for such sorts prevented me from keeping them close, but I was hardly a righteous soul myself. It was not my place to stop. Nor did I have any reason to. The old woman asked us to see whether her son was living under another's heel and persuade him to come home should we ever happen to run into him again. Then she invited us in for a warm meal, saying that although she had little to offer, she would not ask such a favor of us without feeling our bellies. Bamboo-headed Kim granted that we should not expect him to handle the matter, yet perhaps what he had witnessed still sat poorly with him because he wore a sour expression throughout the meal.
묘수로군.
I was hoping for something better.
별일 수 있는 기회겠죠?
Like a prey backed against the cliff's edge, I am left bereft of paths. My hand hesitates with no room to place the stone. Misjudgments burgeon when contemplations harrow the mind indeed. Now, all that remains is to neutralize that one enemy combatant in the yard. Me. Who's waiting for us in there? You should know. This place and its enemies are projections of your memories. Not the hardest guess to make, is it? I expect to find Im Gyong-up in there. Gyong-up was a woman of loyalty and principles. Even as a military commissioner, she never stopped wanting to change the way the royal court was. But even she must have broken in the end. I scoured the newspapers and TV for anything I could find on the current state of Escort, but it was plain as day that nothing had changed there since my departure. Mentor, that not but a baseless speculation, your concerns grown uncontrollably. Never have you spoken to us about such a monstrous one in the past. Thus, what lies before you is but a figment of the distortion reflecting upon your memory. Did this Im Gyong-up appear as that monster does, Mentor? No. Gyong-up wasn't like that. Gyong-up. I still believe that Sopapio and Agro Industries deserves to die. But destruction's not the point. The point is that I want it to be a place where I can cut away the avaricious, corrupted man. Have it be a wing that cares for its cause. If I didn't know better, I would have thought you were seeking to supplant the current escort. You know, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just a wanderer, floating down the river's flow to where the currents take him. When the river bent and I hit a wall, someone picked me up and made a blade out of me. Once abandoned, I returned to the flow and found myself a mentor to those who afforded me the undeserved faith. And the river continues to wind, carrying me back to Cop, whence I had fled. While I let the blade sing my inner thoughts. You think I'm satisfied with the way Escort is? But your method, as it is now, goes against the principle. I expected better from someone of your wiles. If you enjoy those principles so much, then why ask me to leave the game? Because someone has to stay behind and try to bring change within the limits of their principle. I only hope that one of those bends in that river of yours would put you back to knock on the gate of Escort once he was primed for change. Has that changed? What do you think? Because you believe that I shall stand in your path, my path, and stem the flow of this river evermore. Very well. The law states that denial of the will of the royal court is a crime deserving of death by beheading. I, Im Gyong-up, second ordinance of the Sopapio in Agro Industries, official of the sword, and the military commissioner of the royal court, shall uphold the court and sever the birds a year before the property. Damn. Imagine what's so cool.
물러서지 않겠습니다. 물러서지 않겠습니다.
Doing a bit too well. Maybe this probably gonna be a egregiously
귀와 요격, 함수, 정리노화.
bad. Well, having one to have a team and hang to was really saves us a lot, I think.
발검, 차단. 귀와 요격, 겨냥 삼수, 상전, 정리노화.
즐겁겠군.
Jadi dia kena buat dia dengan God damn. Let's see where this goes.
전부 잡아드리죠.
Did he actually lost? Everyone's happy. Damn. Oh, this down.
그래, 언젠가는 이렇게 배일 줄도 알았지.
전부 잡아드리죠. 순순히 오라를 받으시죠.
지겹군. 이 몸이 직접 손봐야겠느냐.
전부 잡아드리죠. 전부 잡아드리죠. 제가 도리어 잡힐 줄이야.
And the temple's made. Who that? I fucked up, didn't I?
도로.
귀와 요격, 겨냥 삼수, 상전, 정린화.
마음을 참아 숨을 거두리라.
발검, 차단. 달빛이
밝다. 그 몸까지 밝힌 너를 더.
아름다운 것, 그렇지 않은 것. 즐겁겠군.
It's not as powerful as I recall. Yet weighed down by the brand, I am not so far ahead of you. I don't know, I think you're doing pretty well. Apparently, they appear evenly matched. In fact, he's wielding that sword like he's trying to get himself killed. That blade work is far beneath him. Thinking the end here, is he? Can you afford to look away in a duel? What are you doing? You'd rather lock your sword, mine, than carry it away? Can't have a proper sword fight without a blade lock though, huh? The duel between the mentor of a syndicate and a military commissioner of escort is neck-to-neck, clash of the clash. The two warriors eventually lock their blades in a contest of might before it comes to a close in a final fatal bout. When the dust settles, the mentor lies in the sand, dead. If that is what you want, I will grunt. Good, let's finish this. Just as bamboo-hatted Kim and Im Gyong-up readied for their final bout, Engdu leaped in between them. Engdu? Are you really so ashamed that you would choose death over life, mentor? Are you so scared to live that you would rather die? Yes, I am. I am scared. I am terrified of my own audacity to live my days as though I hadn't failed everything and everyone who had the misfortune of placing their faith in me, my mission, my honor, my fellows, as though my path isn't haunted by ghosts, as though I can stand shamelessly before the watching eyes of the heaven. What have I even done with the life that was given to me? Blind to the realities of my homeland, I serve a master who chose politics over loyalty and justice. I cut down my very fellows who chose to trust a fool like me. I walked my entire life as the flow carried me, and when I finally had the mind to look back, all I saw were blood-red traces everywhere I had gone. Isn't it about time I admitted that this game cannot be won? That mentor, the weakness in your strength has failed your mission. The weakness in your position has failed your honor, and the weakness in your heart had become the fiendish blade that cut down your fellows. Engdu, I thought you were here to taught me to keep on living, yet your words pain me so. What weakness of yours is it this time that you would cast away your own creed and life? What other weakness will you use as an excuse today? Stop trying to bear responsibilities asked not of you. The blade lineage was never about responsibility, nor was it about you, mentor. Or does your overbearing guilt help you overestimate your importance? What was that saying again? Fellow travelers in the same boat will eat one another. Not a single soul demanded that of you. Talk about kicking a man when he's down. And I have had enough of that flippant larking of yours. We all have. Do you truly believe that not a single one of us had picked up on the fact that all your levity was a means of relieving yourself of the burden you had cast upon your own shoulders? None of us ever demanded some impossible feat from you. What was it that you've always said to describe yourself? That you are but a butchering blade that wields not itself, a tool wielded by willing hands. Why, mentor, I know not what kind of shame or responsibilities a mere tool has to you, because I fail to see any. If the shame does not subside still, then shroud your face with that bamboo head of yours and then live on. Live on so that you may repay your debts. Out of blade, out of arrow. Even the heart that sought death lies defeated at your feet. There is no stone left for my next gambit. There is nothing more. Indeed, perhaps there was some merit in your word, but I must retreat from this silly game of stones and become a fiend of blade. Mentor, that is not what I said. Did I hear that ominous bell ringing just now? Interesting. Whence did you hear that poem? Yes, when inverted, a bamboo head is like an unladen Engdu and In Jong-ok was knocked away from bamboo-headed Kim in a slow bounce off by an invisible force. Is he about to awaken his ego? Kim raises his gaze to meet the empty air as though someone were there. A hollow laughter escaped in his lips. We know who he's talking to. Do you really? I don't think Carmen has ever introduced herself. The voice. But your last move was not a good one. Indeed, I did wish to become a blade, and what did you do? Forge me into an indiscriminate one that cleaves brightly to friend and foe both. It seems that in your excitement you have cornered yourself with that last move. Well, as it seems that I have had an opportunity to retrace our past moves, allow me to try something different this time. Being not so vexed by this round as you may, you never know what the next game shall bring. I appreciate and will treasure the other bits of your advice. But let us play by my rules tonight's game. Something's different this time, innit? He ain't distorting. I think that's an efflorescence, perhaps. Nothing is positive, indeed. Yet I trust that the words of my last remaining follower have also reached your ears. I am but a tool wielded by willing hands. Nothing in my life has ever been so. I know not whether this move is what cements my defeat, but I desire it to be a victorious tool nonetheless. Thank you. I will take what encouragement I can. The strange invisible pressure dissipates, and the armored woman, Kim Jong-ok, readjusts her grip on the sword. Kim turned around to look at her, and I saw that a weighty shadow seemed to have been lifted from his face, replaced by a mix of relief and determination. A bit embarrassing, it's my stance now, but now I fight to win. And I suppose you'll be okay with that? Of course. Ooh. Too high from heaven's gaze, this head I wore. An empty boat, We bore my friends along. In bamboo vale, we drift from shore to shore. With wine, I don my hat to watch blooms throng. In mirth, I doff that shroud to moon adore. So with this bamboo hat, below my brow. Oh my god, it's the bamboo-hatted king. The winds and rain may rage, I shall not go. I to be bamboo-hatted one. Pick your name, for I find your outfit dubious of character. I am he who has mentioned the lineage of blades to its premature end. Who has mentored the lineage? I am he who has brought to bring salvation to the downtrodden below a veil. What to call a man who has failed to disburden himself of the world? How to name a man who has failed to bear the weight of the world? There is to call me Bamboo-Hatted King. Bamboo-Hatted King, the treasonous wretch. Was he effloresced his head back? Is that what happened? The photographs rapidly fold away from reality, perhaps because Kim had successfully managed to face his own past. When the photographs and memories that were overlaid upon the phantoms are pulled away, what remains is a man in dirty, ragged clothing. The phantoms of escort slowly lose grip of his life, and soon reveals the phantoms of distortion that was hidden beneath it. I see residents of the back streets in their blissful highs from taking the can experience, and a man who's watching them with disappointment. Why is everyone running away from all this? A baker always surrounded by the smell of freshly baked bread. A florist who makes lovely bouquets for graduating youngsters. A photographer who captures beautiful sights to remember. They're our lives, our experiences. You wanna be a billionaire with an extravagant mansion in mess, or legendary fixer who can make the syndicates cower in fear just by going on a stroll? What you get from those cans is not real. Is everything in your lives, all of this, just empty means to an end so that you can get high on fake purchased experiences nailed into a can? If that's all your life is, then my life, and the photographs I've taken out, oh no, it can't be. My life. Those experiences and memories I photograph are different. We're all blindly consuming fake experience after fake experience without a care about the real thing. That's why you're all floundering, grasping at illusion. So let me show you the things I've shot. The memory, the experiences, the reality of your lives. It was only in passing when I glimpsed an unmistakable grimace, a scowl on Paul's face. I reflected upon the events of today and could at least begin to guess as to why that might be. You don't believe there's any experience in either the canned experience or that guy's photographs, do you, Mersault? Because experiences and memories aren't the same thing. What really distinguishes them, I wasn't sure. Correct, manager. But what I knew was that the distinction was, for whatever reason, important to Mersault. It will materialize into a humanoid ball swirling out of the projector. It must be the distortion. And next to him is another figure stumbling out in a giant suit armor. But blimey, that thing's still alive! It is but an overlay of phantoms created within a distorted space. The concept of life and death has little meaning for such a thing. Yet faint does she grow, it must be that the distortion's power is unique. Ah, accused one, what these are your crimes. The crime of fomenting chaos in a foreign wing while impersonating Chinokans of Salpipio Agro Industries. The crime of exploiting the suffering of Salpipio in Agro Industries downtrodden as a mere veil for one's own fathoms. And though it be but a part of reenactment impersonating a military commissioner of the kingdom without the royal decree. Pursuant to the law of the homeland, the accused is to be sentenced to death by beheading. And before we even had a chance to step in or anything, the faint mirage-like warrior brought down her sword on the dockcrafter's neck, decapitating him. Jesus. Can an entity of the Fathom really one outside it? Such an instance has heretofore never been observed. But as it is happening right now, right before our eyes, I can only say, yes. Gyeong-up is a woman of principle. She would have done the same to me, to the bitter end, had she truly been here. As the headless body of the inflection point crumples to the floor, Im Gyeong-up's shape slowly phases out of the reality. We found ourselves back in the projection room. And then... No way, don't tell me that headless corpses. We found a large group of injured and corpse staff thrown pell-mell around the room. Ezra, who was looking down at the headless body of the docugrapher. Same.
돌아오고 있어요.
Expecting it to be the
뒤틀림에서 다시 사람의 형상으로. 살수의 방식으로는 절대 도달하지 못했을 결과일 테죠.
Yep, right on. Gotcha, team leader. And that's the initial report done. Good work, guys. Tucking her radio back in, Ezra commended us in a relieved voice. The distortion has perished in the mission. Will that not cause trouble? Yeah, that kinda sucks, but it's not like you guys could help it. Who would have thought that the distortion would kill its own inflection point? If we knew that in advance, we probably would have prepared something to stop it, but... Well, that's for the LCD and the team leader to investigate. All in all, this mission was still a success since we managed to eradicate that distortion from NCOP, not to mention satisfying our client. Also, Ezra looked toward Engdu and Kim with a light-hearted shrug, clearly less concerned than she had been earlier. Now I finally know why you've been disappearing on your own without letting us know. But you don't seem to have any more reason to though, so it's all good. Hey, that's the real win of this mission in my book. Yui, the point is, we did it. We did the thing, it's done. Gosh, I swear I'm never doing one of these without the team leader ever again. Seriously, I got this close to losing it more than a few times. It seemed that the responsibilities of looking after her LCD juniors had kept her stressed and high-strung throughout the mission. I hadn't noticed it, but her brows had finally relaxed, bringing back the chipper Ezra I was more familiar. Thus, I shall not abide by more of your indolence. You will now join us on mission and task as you are expected to. Is that understood, Mentor? And would you mind releasing the hems of my sleeve? Oh, what I wouldn't give to lie down and pass out right about now. The raw emotion in Kim's voice had likewise faded, and with Engdu's voice no longer as barbed as it had been in the Phantoms, it seemed to me that the two were back in the more relaxed selves I knew. Can't exactly say more relaxed for Kim though, because that's how he's always been, at least from what I've seen in any case. Fine, you're released. Whew, you've given me a good, heart shake. I don't feel so good. Say, Engdu, I'm afraid they may have gone overboard with upgrading your arm. With your hem released, allow me to reiterate that. Stop. My heart finds peace as well as I watch them bicker. Is everyone doing okay? Ex-executive manager, our forces have only suffered minor injuries that do not require you to go through the trouble of rewinding the clock. Hang on mate, I've got a dislocated shoulder. Can pop that right back into place for you. Allow me, I've taken care of similar injuries in the field. Yeah, and guess what happened the last time I let you do that? You rotated my bloody arm the wrong way and turned the bones in my shoulder into little chips. Don't sweat it, I can rewind that. By now I've already grown used to the pain of rewinding the sinner's injuries, so dislocated shoulder shouldn't be a big deal. I've got to ask thee a clarification if thou wilt. Yeah. Dost thou recall how, as we battled the NCOP's pin frame team, the foes have taken photographs of us? And they are those who were sent to identify and capture the one who had violated a taboo, forsooth. As we stood in their path, 'tis no mystery why we had to come to blows, yet I find this to be most perplexing. Wherefore did they take so many photographs of us? Maybe they were taking photographs to report their locations? Recording footage is taboo in NCOM, meaning they can't install security cameras here. Their only option for keeping a consistent record when tracking down a case of a person is by photographs. Kind words hold water, yet most puzzling forsooth. For I recall with clarity that, from a certain point, they had begun photographing us with renewed obsession. Oh, hey, that sounds like a question from Assault. Given how often I had to rely on the information Assault had provided me in this mission, I think I've gotten enough practice on how to phrase my questions the right way and pull the answers I need from him. I couldn't get him to tell us his own judgments on matters, but since he seems to have a near photographic memory of what he's seen, Assault, do you remember how many pictures of us the NCOP staff took? I do, 56 times. That's a lot of pictures. Do you actually remember the exact number of times they shot us? I do. It's always so neat seeing his memory in action. So did you get the chance to see which one of us got the most photographs taken? It's Massault, isn't it? I did. Ooh, who is it? Who is it? Woohoo, is it me? I make for a fine model if I do say so myself. No, it wasn't you. It was me. Huh? But why? I broke a taboo one. What's the most statistically likely reason that it was you? It was at that moment that I heard the sound of pebbles crunching under boots approaching us. Louder, louder. What the heck? NCOP. Oh, dang it. Are you here because we beat up some of your guys? Listen here, we had to because of the distortion, you see? It is as you say, the skirmish was an unfortunate consequence of combating the distortion phenomenon. Limbus company provides a customer damage compensation program in case of such unforeseen events. Instead of engaging us in battle, please select to contact the emergency response team at our headquarters. As your first. Yes, we fully understand the circumstances surrounding the battle. We intend to submit an expeditious request for damage compensation as you have recommended. But we are here on different business, so if you would be so kind as to let us speak. Different business? They are here to arrest me, manager. Hold on, Massault. Let's hear them. Wait, what? Massault did not resist. He walked past us and joined the group of NCOP employees. Please confirm that you are Massault, formerly one who nails, and a former member of the maintenance and management team at the Grand Magazine Sisyphe headquarters. Confirmed. By the decree of the Giant, you have been expelled from NCOP with imprisonment as the penalty for non-compliance. Pursuant to Article 12 of the Eviction Regulations, you have also been informed that remaining in NCOP's district for more than 6 hours may subject you to immediate arrest. Please confirm that your memory pertaining to the above incident has not been expunged, and you are of sound mind to recall it in entirety. Confirmed. Very well. Then, in keeping with the regulations, I hereby notify you that you are now subject to arrest and transport. Place your hands behind your back, and please offer no resistance. I am required to inform you that resistance may incur further penalties. But wait, stop! What the hell is going on? Wait, forget all that. Did you know this would happen, Massault? Massault, who stood calmly with his arms behind his back as the NCOP employees handcuffed him, nodded placidly in my direction. I did, manager. Then why the heck didn't you warn? It was less the question and more reflex. But I didn't need to hear his reply to know what. Right, I never asked, did I? You did not. I'd say, you should have warned us way earlier, but you just replied, I will follow those instructions going forward, right? Yes, I would. Subject now in custody. From this moment onward, you are considered a suspect and will be transported to NCOP headquarters for your trial. As for the rest of you, which will be the organization the suspect is a part of? Organize your ass. What in the bloody hell do you think you're? Heathcliff, you are about to antagonize NCOP, Owen. In the absence of a reasonably justifiable cause, such as a contract, engaging in battle with the city's corporate entities is strongly discouraged. Yeah? You're just supposed to twiddle our tongues while they drag him away? This must be another piece of information they neglected to tell me. Yet another development that was set in stone. Despite her calm and collected explanation, I could tell that this was not a pleasant situation for Faust either, as she was sending an uncomfortable glance at the NCOP's employee. So where are you taking me? A retrial will be scheduled for the execution of the exile's sentence. They replied dispassionately as they took Massault into custody. We looked back at them, not knowing what to do or say. The late afternoon sun pricked at us like a 1,000 hot needles. Ah yes, we must reference the sun. Massault, now in cuffs, gazed at us with an expression that would not have seemed out of place on any ordinary day. Dang, you're just gonna end it on that. So there's gonna be a whole court sequence, you know. It'll be something. All in all, it was an unexpected event, but also enjoyable. I believe next is Or Purgis, if I recall correctly. We all look forward to that then. Right. Until then,
밤이 되면 눈이
That's what I
지끈거리니
I
신경을 거스르지 말라.